Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto made his harem by using Black Grimoire? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Black Spirit 101 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. Chapter 1, The Black Grimoire. For as long as people could remember, humanity faced a near end, where people were about to be overrun and killed by demons. They feared their inevitable demise. But one day, a man wielding a grimoire slayed the beast. The people were freed from the shackles of being in fear of demons. The man who killed the beast was later known to be the Magic Emperor, and now, just you watch. I will become the next Magic Emperor, and be the strongest there is. Hissed a boy with blonde hair to a group of people who were laughing at him. Meet Naruto. No last name, as he doesn't recall having one in the first place. He wore a ragged brown shirt, brown pants, and with some sandals. His hair was messy and his face distorted with determination as the orths laughed at him. Once again, Naruto had been trying his absolute hardest to be recognized. He was recognized, but for the wrong reasons. He wanted to be known as a man who was incredible in any way. And every way. Ever since he could remember, which was not very long actually, he lived always in a church not far off from the city. It was more of an in-between type building. Halfway to the city, halfway to the bones of the demon that threatened to wipe them out. Other children lived in the church as well, but they had one thing Naruto didn't. See, every child in this church could use magic. But not him. Even the sister of the church and the father could use magic, but he was the only one who couldn't use it. He was extremely adamant that he had magic, and that it was just dormant right now. And that when it awakens, it will be the most powerfulest thing ever. That was the gateway which led to the mocking. Now the ringleader of the teasing was a boy who too was Naruto's age. He had raven black hair, charcoal black eyes. His clothes consisted of a blue-black shirt, white pants and shoes on. He and Naruto were left at the step of this church. But when Sasuke showed extremely wondrous skill using magic, Naruto saw him as a rival, and sought to try and beat him. But no matter what he did, the boy named Sasuke kept besting him. He had already won the favor of the father of the church and the other teens of the church. When it was revealed that Naruto never had any form of magic, Sasuke mocked Naruto and teased him, stating that he was weak and that it was a miracle he was still around. But Naruto persisted. He wanted to be recognized, to be seen. But every time, it was one up after another. You, Magic Emperor? Don't make me laugh. You'd more be suited for the part of slave. You will never pass for anything without magic. And for you, you don't have any. Howled Sasuke with Naruto clenching his teeth as he seethed with rage. I will be Magic Emperor one day. Mark my words. Barked Naruto, only to be hit in the face and launched back by a volley of water from one of the other teens. You will never be like us. All you're good for is being a punching bag. Cackled the kid as they ganged up on Naruto and used various forms of magic to bully poor Naruto. Naruto just lay there as he was set alight, drowned, and even had a bolt of lightning hit him every now and then. Even though Naruto was aching to be recognized, there was still so much that he could take. Deciding to show off his fangs, Naruto sprung to his feet and grabbed Sasuke's hand and yanked it as hard as possible to where it was now threatening to break. But sadly, the sister came into the scene and found this. What's going on here? She barked, looking at Naruto, who was glowering at Sasuke. Please, sister. Help me, he's gonna break my hand. I don't know why Naruto is doing this, whimpered Sasuke, giving fake tears. Naruto. Release him, growled the sister. But I trailed Naruto only to find a large amount of water above his head. Release Sasuke now. He has done nothing to you, said the sister, with Naruto clicking his tongue and releasing Sasuke. You will not get food tonight as punishment, said the sister, walking off. The little boy is gonna go hungry. As to be you, don't worry, I'll enjoy eating like a king, said Sasuke, howling in laughter with the others as they walked off, leaving Naruto to stand there in his own rage. Oh, how much he wanted to smash Sasuke's face in. Tomorrow he would get his grimoire. Tomorrow he'd show everyone just how powerful he really is. Walking off to do some more training, he failed to take notice of an auburn-haired woman who too was 15. Her hair was long to where it reached the middle of her back. Her body was well-toned, smooth, thin stomach which was topped with shapely legs. This was also emphasized by C. Borderline D. Cup S. She wore a blue outfit that came to her knees while she wore black kitten-heeled shoes. Her face was heart-shaped as a band covered the right side of her face. Her eyes, oh those eyes! A lovely emerald green that you could lose yourself in. She very much had a powerful crush on the young man ever since she witnessed his testament for never giving up. As well, he stood up to a thug who wanted to steal her necklace and sell it for money. She fell in love with him ever since then. But she was too afraid to confess her love for him. She was afraid to the fact that he may shoot her down and laugh at her. Deciding to follow him like she had always done, she followed him to the ruins of the old village that was once there, close to the bones of the demon that attacked the coast. Hiding behind a tree, she found him there, doing some one-handed handstand push-ups. She marveled at his resilience to never give up no matter what. Blushing hard as she watched him, she soon found she had lost track of time. It was late afternoon, and she was to help with making the food. Naruto himself found it was late afternoon, and finished off his training. There he made his way back to the church. Walking through the halls of the church, Naruto made his way to his room. There he just lay as the sounds of people enjoying the food downstairs echoed through the building. Hearing his own stomach growl, he turned over and looked to the moon as it illuminated the sky in his room. Hearing a knock on the door, Naruto turned as the door opened to reveal Mei standing there with a plate of bread and a glass of water on a wooden tray. She also was sporting a massive blush as she stood there looking at Naruto. "Thought you wanted something to eat," she stated as she walked over to Naruto and laid the food down for him. "Thank you, Mei," said Naruto as he dug in and ate. Mei just looked on as Naruto ate the food given to him. To her, Naruto was everything she wanted in a man. He was hardworking, dedicated, and headstrong. She liked that. He didn't like it when things were handed to people because of status. He found the idea of earning things more enjoyable. Once he was done, Naruto thanked her for it before she took the empty tray away. Returning back to be laying on his bed, Naruto let a sigh escape his lips as he gazed at the sky. "I'll get my own grimoire tomorrow and show them I am no failure," he said to himself as he went to sleep. The next day, every 15-year-old child made their way to the large column where they would get their own grimoire and be able to use magic more effectively. Naruto's heart raced as he stood there as the grimoires floated about as they found their ideal masters. Mei found she was given a grimoire that specialized in healing. She was so ecstatic that she looked over to everyone who had just received a grimoire. But when her eyes landed on Naruto, she soon felt a sharp pain in her chest. Naruto had yet to receive one. He stood there, completely anxious to receive his grimoire. All that the wizard said was better luck next time, while Sasuke stood there with a grimoire with a 4-leaf clover on the cover. The same type of one that the Magic Emperor used fighting the demon long ago. Looking to Naruto before walking past him, he snickered as he stopped behind Naruto. "I'll achieve your dream for you. Then I'll hire you as a slave for myself." He chuckled as he walked away while everyone planned something amazing for those who got a grimoire. Might just stood there as Naruto hung his head in defeat. His hands made into fists as he shook with the pain of not being with magic. Storming away, he went to clear his thoughts on the matter. "Oh Naruto, how are you gonna take this?" asked Mei with a saddened expression. "With Naruto. By the bones of the demon." Shouting as hard as he could while he threw whatever was around him at the bones of the demon, he let all the pain he had inside out. Tears streamed down his face as he let loose with the rage he had. "Is this a joke to you? Huh?" He spat, looking to the sky. "I trained day in and day out. I worked harder than anyone else. I should have received one. So why didn't I? Is it always about others and not me? Am I just that worthless?" Slamming his foot on the ground, he soon found himself falling as the rocks beneath his feet gave way, and with him falling down. Landing on his back and hitting the back of his head really hard, he found himself knocked out as he lay there, unconscious. After a few minutes, he slowly stirred awake as he looked about while rubbing the back of his head. Looking up to find the hole he fell through at least 50 feet in the air. Clicking his tongue and finding a way out, he slowly got to his feet. Naruto found there was only one way through. By moving forward, looking around as he delved further, Naruto found the cave walls turn into that of what seemed to be a tomb walls. Pillars with various seals littered the walls while he soon felt his skin crawl as a nasty tingling sensation ran up and down his spine, making the hairs at the back of his neck stand on end. Whatever it wasn't the cold of the cave, oh no. It was something more evil. Stopping before a massive stone door, Naruto ran his hands along the cold surface of the structure, marveling at the sheer size and stature of the doors. But sliding his hand across, Naruto's hand hit a small type of button. Choosing to press it as curiosity got the better of him, he soon heard a clicking sound with the doors slowly parting to reveal a type of coffin with a pedestal behind the coffin. But what rested on the pedestal was what intrigued him. Walking over to the pedestal, Naruto found it to be a grimoire, but the book was defying gravity as it levitated on the platform, while a dull hum came off his as pure purple-black energy seeped off it. It gave a powerful menacing vibe off it while he stared at the book. The book itself was pure black with what looked to be a type of strange insignia inscribed on the cover in the middle with a few others all over the book. A mark of the beast from Black Ops 3 Shadows of Evil and Chronorium book as well from Black Ops 3 Zombies. The book was locked up tight with a lock on the part of the pages, proving that the contents could never be opened no matter what. Gulping down as Naruto reached over to the book, hoping to what would happen should he touch the grimoire. But when his hand made contact with the book, Naruto soon felt a sharp paining feeling in his hand as he found something being burned onto his hand, while what looked to be a tendril of purple-black energy was inscribing it on his hand. The book in question was right now suspended high in the air, as the lock swung open along with the cover as the pages flew open. Shutting one eye closed as he soon dropped to his one knee as he scrunched one eye shut as the pages stopped turning and landing relatively in the middle. Looking to his hand, Naruto found the same mark that was on the cover of the book now on his hand, while what looked to be searing hot skin bordered around the mark. The grimoire slammed shut and floated down to Naruto while Naruto himself looked puzzled. The power of the blood god shall be yours. A voice from the one mission you do in Dawn of War, Dark Crusade. Boomed a voice from the tomb. Blood god? What is going on? Said Naruto to himself before he soon passed out. Slowly opening his eyes, Naruto found himself in a white abyss. Looking about and assessing himself, he found himself still as he was once. But when he looked up, he found a man clothed in full black as he stood there with his back to Naruto as the bottom of his jacket looked to be like fire the way it moved. It moved about as if a simple breeze was passing by. Walking over to the man, Naruto soon stopped in his tracks when the man spoke. You bear the mark of the blood god now. You are the new user of the black grimoire, said the man, not even bothering to turn around. What? I don't even know what this blood god is. Nor the black grimoire, spat Naruto, irritated on being in the dark about this. The blood god is the only god apart from his brother, the god of life, to have given mortals like us the power of magic, or as they call, dragon's breath. The blood god was sick of his brother gaining all the credit for being the perfect god there was in heaven. So he too went down to the human world and gave life to his own creation. And no, it's not the demon that attacked us all those years ago. He gave life to the black grimoire, the very object of pure dark magic. You may commonly know it as necromancy. This form of power is extremely powerful, trailed the man as Naruto thrusted a hand into the air as the sounds of cheer escaped his lips. Yeah. I finally have my own grimoire. And it is wicked strong. I can be the most powerfulest person ever. Hell with this power, I can even be Magic Emperor no problem. Cheered Naruto before a cold sensation washed over him, causing him to stop cheering for himself. I wasn't finished, you little brat, spat the man. Yes, it is extremely powerful. But all powers come at a price. You must, and I mean must, give a blood sacrifice to the blood god. By using the black grimoire, you send the person's soul into the abyss where the blood god now resides. The blood is then pulled from the corpse and a new spell for you is unlocked from the blood making contact with the pages. The sacrifice must be human and done on every new moon. Should you not present a sacrifice, you will have a piece of your life taken from you. It's not a nice exchange, but you must provide something for compensation should a sacrifice not be presented. But new spells are unlocked through the blood of those you've killed. Just with every new moon, an even stronger spell is given. Also remember, some spells will require more blood to gain. And no, you can't use your own blood as you're now contracted to the blood god. When you open the book, you will not find any spells. But you can unlock one spell by offering something basic. Being as you are now, with you being contracted to the Black Grimoire, you can use only one ability. Lesser Summon, said the man as Naruto was blinded by a white light. Make the most of this, young necromancer. And bring glory and honor to the blood god. Echoed the man's voice as Naruto slowly stirred awake to find himself back in his body in the cave. The grimoire still hovering beside him. Slowly getting to his feet with the grimoire too floating up along with him, Naruto held out his hand and watched in amazement as the lock unlocked with the pages unfurled and showed multiple blank pages. Once the pages stopped turning, right at the top of the left pages, a spell burned itself onto the pages as Naruto looked on with such awe. Once the words were finished being burned on the page, he read out the spell written on Si vocare anime. And summon soul in Latin. Spoke Naruto, feeling power deep within his mind yanking harder and harder when previously there was nothing. He got an idea. Placing a hand to be over the book but not directly touching the book itself, he soon felt the yanking sensation get stronger than ever. Si vocare anime. He commanded, and right before him, at his sides and behind him emerged 4 wisps. The wisps looked more to be like little balls of purple light as they floated before their master. Looking to the seals, Naruto found extremely intricate seals on the ground that he had never seen before. They looked so complex that not even the most advanced magic user could decipher at all. And the finished mark of the ritual circle for the void bow under Eisendrake for Black Ops 3 to get an idea for the summoning circle for the wisps. Looking in the corner of his eye, Naruto pointed at a statue and he was completely blown away as the statue was now nothing but dust as one of the wisps sent a powerful small beam of dark magic at the statue. Marveled by the sheer power these things held, Naruto withdrew his hand from the grimoire with the book closing and the wisps vanishing in small gushes of purple fire with the summoning circles dying out. This was amazing. With this book, Naruto was sure to be recognized by the others. Watching as a doorway slowly opened up, he sprinted to it, and soon found himself in a wooded area while he was standing in what looked to be a rock with a tree on top of it. It was late at night, which meant dinner was most likely served by now. Sprinting as fast as he could to the church, Naruto took off with so much enthusiasm. When he made it to the door, he threw it open to find it to be exactly dinner time. Thrusting out his hand with his grimoire in his hands, Naruto puffed out his chest as everyone looked on. Check it out. My own grimoire. He chimed with admiration, but this was met with a huge amount of laughter from everyone. In that singular moment, all of Naruto's courage vanished from his being as the laughter got to him. Sasuke soon rose from his seat as he wiped his eyes from the laughter. You really think you can use magic now? Asked Sasuke as he snatched the grimoire away from Naruto. Give that back, shouted Mei, standing up for the man she had a crush on. This doesn't concern you, spat Sasuke, glaring at Mei. I can use magic now, said Naruto, standing firm in what he knew. I don't believe you. If you can, open it, said Sasuke, handing the book back after finding that he couldn't open the book. Fine, said Naruto as he held his hand over the book and then stretched his hand out as the book floated to be in front of his outstretched hand as the lock burst open with pages turning to the only spell in the book. Lesser Summon. Looking at the book, Sasuke howled with laughter at what he was seeing. Sure, the whole thing about Naruto now having magic was a bit of a surprise and all. But when Sasuke looked at the pages, was the only thing he could laugh about. You only have one spell, cackled Sasuke, causing the other teens to laugh as hard. You certainly are weak, howled one of the teens. I'm not weak, snapped Naruto. You're a wizard with only one spell. What is it? Make thy not a loser? Cracked another, causing everyone to howl even louder. Naruto just stood there, gritting his teeth as he clenched his fists. This was the final straw. The final straw that broke the camel's back. But as he seethed with rage, he soon heard a dark voice boom in his head. Let them have a taste of the necromancer's power. Let them taste your new strength. The voice bellowed as the mark on Naruto's hand burned a purple along with the spell. I curse you all. Sivokare anime! Cried Naruto as summoning circles formed around Naruto with wisps coming up from the summoning circles. What is that? A cute little fairy? Snorted Sasuke, still laughing. You won't be laughing for long, said Naruto as he pointed to Sasuke. All it took was a near miss with a powerful beam that completely blew away the back of the church to get them to shut up. Each and every one of them stood there as Naruto looked on at them with a cold death stare. Mei herself was completely impressed at what she had just seen. Naruto had just demonstrated just how strong his grimoire and magic was compared to theirs. Not even Sasuke's grimoire and magic contained that amount of firepower. And Naruto. Why, I was just joking, right? I mean, we're buds, right? Said Sasuke in a shaky voice as he looked to Naruto, who had zero form of emotion on his face. Yeah. You were joking. Like how you locked me in my room for 3 days without getting food or water. Like how you always told the sister and father that I was the one who stole stuff and whatnot, when it was really you. And like how you always mocked me for being not even able to cast a single spell. Yes, sure, those were all jokes to you. But for me, it was like hell. But looks like the roles are reversed for once, snarled Naruto as he slowly raised a finger to point at Sasuke, only to have the father and sister of the church come into the scene and freeze in fear. Oh my! What is this power? Asked the father, looking to Naruto. We don't know. We were just playing and then he snapped, said one of the teens. I've never seen such destructive powers. It is completely incredible. Yet, it's so dark. So evil, said the sister as she shook in fear. But we're friends, right? Said Sasuke. Yeah, sure. We can be friends. Give me your blood and let me use you as a sacrifice for the blood god. He will be pleased to have a sacrifice such as yourself, said Naruto, now shaking a bit from the amount on how much he was gonna enjoy killing Sasuke. This of course made everyone get creeped out beyond note. I mean, this was Naruto, the very man who never gave up on anything. But they should have seen this coming. After all, he was the center for everything wrong. But something clicked in the father's mind. Oh no, he said, gaining some of the teens' and sisters' attention. What is it, father? Asked the sister. Naruto mentioned the blood god. This is not good. It means Naruto has made a covenant with the god of dark magic, the very maker of necromancy. He said, knowing what this means. But how can that be? You said that long ago they killed all people who were practitioners in the dark arts, as well as burned the black grimoires, said the sister. It looks like we have missed one. And this is the very one we may have missed, said the father as he sprinted and got between Sasuke and Naruto. Stop this now, he cried. Why? So you can treat me like a dog again? If you want to get roasted, old man, then be my guest, spat Naruto as he got ready to end it all. A wicked evil smile crept upon Naruto's lips as he slowly brought out his index finger on his now outstretched hand. But he was soon stopped when Mei embraced Naruto. Shocked by this, Naruto lowered his hand as his grimoire closed with a slam and the lock closing with the book dropping to the floor. Don't do this. You would never be able to go back should you kill someone, said Mei, starting up with tears. It's part of the contract I made. I have to give one human sacrifice every new moon to the blood god. If I don't, a part of my life is gone as payment, said Naruto. But why do this? Asked the sister, with Naruto shooting a look. I never did this. You drove me to do this, if I recall. Not once did you believe my side of the story. You always took Sasuke's side, not mine. So what do I care if a few souls get fed to a dark god? Spat Naruto. We understand this. And we are sorry, said the father, with Naruto laughing extremely dark from this. Sorry? Doesn't even cut it on what I've been through. I should set this place ablaze after what I've been through, said Naruto, getting ready to send this place sky high. but stopped and broke from Mei, who was hugging him. But all things will be done in good time. Enjoy your time while you still have it. 'Cause trust me, when I come back, this place will be nothing but ashes by the time I'm done with it. Spat Naruto before turning to Naruto and placing his hands on Mei's shoulders before looking to her with a smile of gentleness. I thank you for what you've done for me, said Naruto as Mei smiled to him. It was no big a deal. I mean, I do love you, she said before slamming her hands over her mouth. Crap, she couldn't believe she just said that out loud. This of course was met with shock as Naruto stood there dumbfounded. But he soon relaxed his facial expression before bringing her into a hug. Wait for me. I will come back for you, said Naruto before walking away. I'll be waiting for you, she said as she watched him walk off with his grimoire in his hands. Chapter 2: The Necromancer Returns. It had been 6 years since Naruto left the church with the black grimoire in his hands. Having demonstrated such amazing and destructive power left such an impression on the minds of those who witnessed it, the church sent word to the capital to tell them of such a development. They responded by increasing the amount of magic knights, even sending a few to look after the church. The sheer thought of having a black grimoire running about was a serious cause to be alarmed. In the 6 years of Naruto's absence, Mei had grown into a fine young woman. She was envied among most of the women for her figure, and admired by the men, and some women of the land. A prince from a distant land once came to the kingdom, and asked Mei's hand in marriage. Mei declined his offer and stated she was already taken by another. Not much had changed on her apart from her hair now reaching her knees, and her bust size had increased to a solid E-cup. She worked in the royal court as a healer to the king and queen, and she was damned good at her job. In her free time she would just wonder how the man she loved was doing. All alone out there, Sasuke didn't take the humiliation of having a dead last like Naruto gain so much more power than he could ever gain that very well. The events of that night still burned and haunted his mind. He was now a captain in the Magic Knight Order, and was already being promoted to commander soon. His victories were legendary, as he would win every fight they were ever faced with, but he still kept himself headstrong on the matter of ending Naruto for making him look bad. That was certain. Unknown location. In a severely damaged castle that was being repaired by what could be people, over by the waters on the south of the empire, rested a being shrouded in absolute mystery. His face covered by the hood of his cloak as he sat upon a damaged throne, his head resting on his arm as he sat there, a grin plastering his features as a second person came into the scene from a door that was still in pristine condition. This woman had long black hair, and beautiful slitted yellow eyes. Her outfit was pure white with a necklace around her neck that looked to be a spider's web. Her arms were covered by long gloves and the sides of her dress were cut to show off her shapely thighs. At her waist were a pair of jet black feathered wings. The forces are ready to march upon your orders, my liege, she said, only to have the man sitting on the throne wave his hand, beckoning for her to come over to him. She made her way over to the man, and soon found herself grabbed at her waist and pulled to be sitting on his lap. She gasped in surprise by the sudden grab but welcomed it nonetheless. Excellent news, Albedo. How have the warrior bunnies been adapting to their new home? Asked the man. They've adapted well, my liege. Lady Taiyo has stated on numerous occasions that she cannot thank you enough for saving her people when they were being threatened on being overrun, said Albedo, only to have the man smile. Well, she sure proved her loyalty to me when she offered up her own body. Ensure they are ready to move when I give the signal, said the man, getting up with Albedo climbing off his lap. As you wish, my liege, she said with a bow. Oh, and Albedo, later on, we're having another child, said Naruto, making Albedo blush a deep red. As you command, my liege. My heart and body are yours, she said with a purr as Naruto left through a door behind the throne. Walking along the passageway, making his way to his chambers, the man simply smiled as he walked along the halls. It had been 6 years since this started. Since they lit the fuse that would be their downfall. 6 years since he embarked on this journey to find just what it means to hold incredible power. And 6 years since he began creating an army of loyal fighters. Be it through diplomacy or dictatorship, he ensured where they fell in line. But there were a few exceptions he made. Like with Albedo. When he killed the man who ruled this castle with little hassle, he found her being used by the guards as a cum dump. After he murdered the guards and then resurrected them as the undead, he offered to keep her safe and that she should no longer fear being used like that ever again. The only condition was for her to bow down and offer her life to the blood god when she dies. His sweet words won her over easily, and she offered her soul to the blood god then and there. He treated her just as he said. She loved him every bit as much as she could find the time. She was placed as head of the undead army that he had summoned and even commanded a few people that raised their swords in his name. She and Naruto had a son they named Samo, who very much enjoyed enticing people into deals that favored him and left the person regretting the choice. Albedo, Taiyo and him had sex a few times, and she thoroughly enjoyed the thrills of giving oneself willingly instead of being ravaged against one's will. Throwing open the doors to his chambers, the man walked in as three maids who were standing beside the door bowed to their master as the man walked to the bed in the center of the room. Laying on the bed was a woman who was fast asleep. Her snow-white hair flowed over her shapely body while two white bunny ears rested upon her head. Carefully sitting on the bed, he smiled as he ran a hand over her smooth skin, electing a soft moan from her lips as she stirred awake. Gazing over to him, she smiled to him as she got into a sitting position, while using the blankets to cover her amazing and naked body. Naruto. Is it time already? She asked as Naruto ran a loving hand over her cheek, causing her to moan into the feeling as she pushed her head into his hand. It is. We march to the capital. But we must prepare our soldiers, said Naruto. But isn't that why you have Albedo? You put her in charge of ensuring and inspiring fierce loyalty in our soldiers, said Taiyo as Naruto chuckled. Taiyo, if there is one thing I told you, it was that you have to be unpredictable, said Naruto as Taiyo blushed. I guess you have a point, said Taiyo, slowly getting out of bed, but soon found Naruto by her side, holding a hand to help her along. I don't want you to push yourself. Not after the fact that you said you were pregnant again, said Naruto with Taiyo giggling. My dearest Naruto, if I was in pain, you'd be the first to know, said Taiyo with Naruto nodding his head. I would. But please, I don't want our child to be put into stress while you're carrying him, said Naruto with Taiyo placing a hand on his cheek. He'll make a fine sorcerer, just like his father, she said with a smile. And what of our daughter? Asked Naruto with Taiyo giggling slightly, as menacing as her father. Little Mio has been using dark magic around the castle and is still using such magic in a reckless manner, replied Taiyo with Naruto chuckling at her response. She will soon learn what it exactly means to control such magic, stated Naruto with Taiyo nodding at what he said. So what's happening tonight? Asked Taiyo with Naruto looking out to the window. It's a new moon tonight, replied Naruto with Taiyo looking to the mark on his hand that had a dim glow to it. Has the blood god given you any idea on the next sacrifice? Asked Taiyo with Naruto nodding his head as he turned to face her. He has. The new sacrifice will be presented to him no matter what, said Naruto. He will be satisfied with your offering, as he always has, said Taiyo with Naruto nodding his head as he agreed with her. As they conversed with one another, another of the members of Naruto's royal court burst through the doors and bowed to her master. This woman had long flowing brown hair that became slightly curly toward the end, with one bang covering the right of her face, much like how Naruto remembered Mei. Her eyes, however, were a beautiful hazel color, and her clothing was majorly purple. And Naruto had to admit one thing. She was quite the amazing figure. Almost goddess level. Your Highness, Lady Enigma has returned from battle. She awaits you in the throne room, she replied. Thank you, said Naruto with her excusing herself. Enigma sure enjoys killing in your name, said Taiyo with Naruto agreeing with her, as he squeezed her ass making her squeak in delight. She did after all pledge her loyalty to me when I defeated her very easily, stated Naruto as Taiyo simply nodded. After all, you are the one who is the last dark magic user, said Taiyo with Naruto smiling wickedly to her. Soon I won't be the last, said Naruto with Taiyo cocking her head to the side. What do you mean? She asked. All in good time, my dear. All in good time, chirped Naruto before walking out his chamber, leaving Taiyo to her own devices. Walking down the passageway with the woman trailing him, he soon stopped and turned to her and planted a massive on her lips. She was taken back by a serious smile, but soon edged him back as her hands grabbed the back of his head and drew him close, breaking from with a trail of saliva connecting them still. Naruto smiled as he gazed at the dazed look on her face. "Wiz, you're too cute for me," said Naruto, making her blush hard. "My lord, you shouldn't say such things to someone who serves you," said Wiz as Naruto laid a finger on her lips. "Shhhhhhh. You shouldn't talk about trivial things like that. Here, I am ruler. I can do what I want," said Naruto as he ran his fingers across her skin, making her shiver at his cool touch. "I see your point," said Wiz as she allowed the touch of her ruler and lover. Wiz was surprisingly a gift to Naruto. A nobleman who wished to gain an audience with Naruto used his own daughter as a gift to win Naruto's favor. But the nobleman was short-sighted and didn't realize he was dealing with powers beyond his own control. He demanded that Naruto was to make him the lord of his country, even though he was high enough in the Peking order. Naruto laughed in his face and took his soul then and there. Wiz was given the opportunity to leave and return to her home. She point-blank refused and asked to be Naruto's servant. She got her wish, but was made captain of her own units. The Lich unit was what they were called. Powerful undead forces who were very much wizards who were at the apex of magic, for her to command as she saw fit. She was also given her own spot on Naruto's elite guard. The Harbingers was what they were called. The Harbingers were an elite guard unit who only answered to their master. Albedo, Taiyo, Wiz and Enigma were all part of the Harbingers, but there were still more. Only on rare occasions did they assemble to have a summit. But that was only when there was a dire need. And that was a very rare chance. Wiz was also the last among the women to fall in love with Naruto. She became his lover 9 months prior to becoming part of the Harbingers. She hadn't fallen pregnant yet, but she was hoping she would. Pushing the massive doors to the throne room open, Naruto made his way to his throne as a woman with midnight black hair, hungry red eyes and an amazing figure bowed before her master. She wore some rather revealing clothes while a trench coat occupied her shoulders. A hat resting on her head which was also black much like her other clothes. Similar to that of a Western getup. "Enigma, I trust you were successful in getting the item I needed," stated Naruto with Enigma looking to Naruto and nodding her head as she reached into her pocket. "Yes, my lord," she stated, pulling out a red crystal that was in the form of a flower. "The Defiler's blood is yours now." Ah, the Defiler's blood. A lost relic from the witch hunts. Ever since Naruto made the pact with the blood god, he had been searching all his life for relics of the past that survived the purge. His goal was simple. But in the long run, he was aiming to set the blood god free. In exchange for letting the blood god free, Naruto will be given the power to bend the very fabrics of time and space. To completely destroy the world, or recreate it to how he saw fit. Or simply go back in time. But in order to do that, he had to gain relics of dark magic as a conduit to channel his power. So far he had only 2. The Black Grimoire, and now the Defiler's blood. But just as they were about to continue with Naruto congratulating Enigma for getting such a powerful item, the doors flew open with a purple blur slamming into Naruto followed by a very girlish scream. "Lord Naruto, I missed you," said the woman now in Naruto's arms. Looking down, Naruto found me teat. A woman Naruto found to be a very powerful contradiction. While appearing to be a perfect innocent woman who was so cute she seemed to be an angel, she was the complete opposite on the inside. Her angelic features were eclipsed by the darkness that lurked within her heart. She came to be like this when she found a piece of an old grimoire in her father's study. Deciding to see what it would do, she chanted the only spell on the page. Too bad the spell was used to permanently change her heart forever. Gone was her good and caring nature, only to be replaced by one of stone-cold, heartless nothing. She met Naruto when she was exiled from her home for setting a man on fire while he was still alive and trying to summon demons from the netherworld. Naruto trained her in the ways of the dark arts. She was very proficient in the use of curses. Her favorite type of curse was one which rots the skin of her foes, making them die a painful and slow death. Together with the curse to make a person not go into the sun, and she was extremely powerful, earning her the name, the Cursed. She was also one of the harbingers, and she took her job seriously. She wasn't given a unit as she preferred to work alone. Plus, the less people she had with her on assignments from Naruto, the better. After all, an assassin can't work when there is someone else in the way. As for Enigma, she was a living weapon that escaped her captors. Her elven appearance and evil red eyes was a side effect of her change. She went everywhere and challenged the strongest there was to a duel, using herself as the prize every time. And she won every time. But that changed when she met Naruto. Challenging him like all the others before him, she gave herself as the prize, only to lose to Naruto. Naruto took her in and gave her everything she wanted. And in return, she'd become an agent for the Blood God. She agreed to it, and soon became one of the harbingers. She was nicknamed Calamity. Wherever she went, towns were razed to the ground, people killed, and death soon followed. Meet. As much as I'd like to have some cuddle time with you, I am busy at the moment, said Naruto, looking to Meet. I see. But I'd very much like to start on that family you agreed to have with me, said Meet as she let the sleeve of her dress fall from her shoulders, giving Naruto an eyeful of her chest. I see. How about after I give the sacrifice to the Blood God? Enigma, you are to rest up. Tomorrow, you'll be heading to secure our western border. Albedo will be accompanying you, said Naruto, with Enigma bowing to Naruto. Of course, my liege, she said as she got up. Despite being absolutely flawless in her actions and orders, Enigma was very much in love with Naruto. They had sex a few times, and had given birth to his child, a son they named Haruhiko. But she wanted to expand on that family. She was just hoping that she end up pregnant soon. She saw Taiyo as a rival. Both of them wanted to have a big family with Naruto, and that soon turned into a serious debate on who would have the biggest family with Naruto. But she wasn't worried about it. She knew her time would come to have that next child with Naruto. She just prayed it would be soon. Once Enigma was gone, Naruto slowly got to his feet as he looked at the crystal in his hands. Smiling as he called for a maid to put the item in the vaults, Naruto made his way to where the next sacrifice would be. He'd very much be thrilled to see what his next spell was going to be. The Blood God would always ensure he had the most strongest spells. After all, Naruto was destined to release him. Chapter 3: The Blood Sacrifice. Sitting on his throne as he cycled through the spells he had, Naruto wondered just how much more powerful he'd become. He was already incredibly strong, where he could decimate an entire army battalion like it was nothing. His elite guard unit, the Harbingers, were just one notch below him, slouching in his throne as his grimoire slammed shut with the lock closing and the book just hovering there. Naruto wondered just how he'd go about freeing an imprisoned god. Yes, it was clear within his head that he needed relics of the witch hunt that survived to help channel and amplify his powers to their maximum limits. But once he had attained full power, what then? He'd technically be a god among mortals. One who would have absolute authority over all he saw, all things belonging to him. He'd be able to revive those who fell, all previous necromancers who were slaughtered in the witch hunts. He'd be able to fully understand everything there was to everything. Yes, that sounded like a good idea. After all, it was all just business. Getting up from his throne as he walked over to Meet's chambers, he knocked on the door only to hear her telling him to enter. Pushing the doors open, he came face to face with a captured fool. No doubt a person who was a scout for some bandits. Looking at Meet without a shred of emotion for the man tied up and kneeling before Meet, who was sitting on the bed cycling through the various curses she had. She recently told Naruto she was working on a new curse that would cause a large amount of pain to the person periodically, driving them insane from the amount of pain they'd receive. This was also another thing Naruto had to admit about Meet. Despite being a real trump card, she also proved to be quite the sadist. She even admitted that she was one to begin with. Naruto was completely fine with that. Sorry, Lord Naruto. We'll be with you in just a moment. said Metit as she went through her curses. Take your time. We've still got plenty of time, said Naruto as he folded his arms as he leaned against the door. Ah, here it is, said Metit as she pulled the nose she was looking for out from the pile on her bed. Please, don't kill me. I don't want to die. Please. I'll do everything you want, said the bandit as tears streamed down his cheeks. You made that mistake of trespassing, said Metit as she began to chant. A powerful summoning circle formed under the bandit, and soon he began to cry out in pain before stopping for a few seconds, and the crying out in pain again. Looking to the position of the sun only to find it setting already, Naruto walked over to the tortured soul and killed him then, and there making Metit whine at how her fun was stopped. Oh come on, Lord Naruto. I was about to reach my climax, she said as she looked at him with a pout. I'll find another soul for you to play with. Right now, we must get moving. The blood god is waiting for his next meal, said Naruto with Metit nodding in understanding. Okay. I'll help, said Metit getting off her bed and grabbing some cursed talismans and putting them away from view. Excellent. 'Cause you haven't been there with me for a new moon sacrifice. This will be your first, said Naruto with Metit nodding her head. Oh, most definitely. Enigma and Tail said that a spectral being that resembles the blood god shows up just before the blood is turned into a new spell for you to use, stated Metit with Naruto nodding his head. Correct. Now let's go, said Naruto with the doors to the stables opening and Naruto heading out with Metit riding alongside him. The mark on Naruto's hand glowing slightly more brighter. Empire. Capital. May sat on her seat by the king and queen. Thanks to her hard work, she was given her own seat. She enjoyed the seat, but sometimes she wondered if this was truly where she belonged. If she truly was meant to be here at all. She often found herself looking at the seat the queen and king sat on, and would just wonder if that was where she was meant to be. But her musings were soon cut short when a man in shredded clothing burst through the doors of the throne room and threw himself before the king and queen's feet. Please, your highness. I beg for your aid. I'm being hunted, he said with his head low to the ground. The king got to his feet and slowly walked down to the man who was trembling in fear. Getting onto his haunches as he placed a hand on the man's shoulder, he watched as the man looked into the eyes of the king. Why are you being hunted? Asked the king. I saw his face. I saw it, said the man trembling even more. You saw his face? Whose face? Asked the king. Death. I saw the face of death. We were just enjoying our time, celebrating the harvest. But soon, the plants turned black and turned to ash. The sky darkened and thunder clapped above us. 2 people were seen on the horizon. One person being that of a man. The other, a female. Both were clothed in black. And both descended on us without mercy. They slaughtered everyone they saw. I hid as best I could. But the worst happened when the very people he slaughtered were resurrected and sent away. The male said it was a wonderful hunt, and the blood god would be pleased with the one that got away, said the man as tears flowed down his cheeks. May's eyes widened at this. The mere mention from this guy about the blood god was a sure sign that it was the man she loved. Only one person would say such a thing about the blood god. And that person was Naruto. Relax, you'll be fine, said the king. We'll keep you protected in the dungeon. 2 magic knights will keep you safe there. Don't worry. We'll ensure you are protected. Thank you, my king, said the man as he was escorted away with May excusing herself. Making it to her chambers, she closed the door and leaned against her dresser. Sweat began to bead down her brow. Her breathing became erratic. Hearing that the man would be hunted was a sure sign that Naruto was coming. Oh Naruto, I'd be able to see you again, she said to herself as she clutched her chest. I'd finally be able to hold you again. To be in your arms. She couldn't remember the last time she saw Naruto. Sure, it was only 6 years, but faces fade out of memory and are soon forgotten. She didn't like that. She did everything she could to keep the memory fresh within her mind. Deciding to see him, she prepared for what was to happen. She also ensured to leave her grimoire behind, with Naruto. Late at night, making it to the outside walls of the palace while a thick layer of fog hung in the air, conjured up by Naruto to mask their presence, they made their way, following the burning bright light of Naruto's mark. The more brighter it got, the more closer they were to their target. Spotting a guard look at the floating thing before him, he soon found himself grabbed at the face by Naruto. Invocation, Anima Ignis. An invocation, Soul Fire. Called Naruto, and the mark on his hand flashed a purple color before going back to just glowing purple. The guard burst into blue-hot flames as his cries pierced through the night, but he was quickly silenced when Naruto covered his mouth. Nothing was left of the guard but a few scorched marks on the floor. No skeleton, no nothing. Marching down the stairs while finding less and less guards were stationed here, they found the man they were after in the furthest cell. And the fog Naruto had summoned up was now losing effectiveness. Looking to Metit, he nodded to her as she smiled as she pulled down a sleeve of her clothing. "Don't worry, Lord Naruto," she cooed into his ear before giving his cheek a "I'll get rid of those pests for you," slowly walking out from behind cover in a very sultry manner as she swayed her hips. Metit leaned against the wall, while ensuring to use every piece of her body to tease the guards there. "Hello, boys," she purred as she ran a hand across her chest. "Wanna have some fun with me?" Like moths drawn to a flame, the magic knights followed Metit only to find themselves kind of a piece of paper. One each for them. Being told by Metit they were special talismans to make them more bigger downstairs, they held on to them for dear life. But were soon tricked, and found themselves paralyzed. Laughing rather sinister-like, Metit dragged the two paralyses knights out from the shadows and threw Naruto the keys to the cell as she fixed up her clothes. "The only one I act like a slut to is Lord Naruto," she chimed to the two paralyzed men on the floor. The man in the cell looked up and soon was trembling in fear as he gazed into the cold eyes of Naruto, who already had his grimoire opened and was also radiating power at the same time. "Please, I beg you, don't kill me," he begged as he clasped his hands in prayer only for Naruto to laugh. "Prayers won't help you now. Don't you worry, little man. The blood god rewards those who do his bidding. And he will very much reward me here," said Naruto as his eyes turned full black with his grimoire breaking apart with the pages flying around him. As Naruto chanted, chained in hands from the floors, walls and ceiling, grabbed the man and suspended him into the air as the man screamed and begged to be spared. For Metit, this was a sight to see. Not only was she witnessing the complete soul-wrenching of an individual, she was also witnessing the complete power of Naruto, who was about to rip a soul from a body, cast everything in black dye, as the moon swallows the sun and bathes all in eternal darkness. "Ferdam meme. And soul steel," finished Naruto as the man cried out in pain as he found the chains and arms ripping him to death. And rip him they did as his body exploded with blood going everywhere with a black ring with a ruby dropped to the ground. The blood of the victim coming together and forming a new spell on one of the pages before coming together to reform the grimoire. A click was heard and the grimoire dropped into Naruto's hands as a purple spectrum was seen before Naruto. Naruto was instantly on his knees with Metit following his lead. "Ah, my champion! Once again you have presented a sacrifice, and once again you shall be rewarded," said the blood god. "The ring before you was once a powerful relic used by the very person who previously used your grimoire. A relic known as Night Eclipsed. With this ring, you can access a spell in the Black Grimoire without even opening the grimoire itself. However, this only applies to spells that don't have long activation times. I understand and accept your gift, my master," said Naruto, sliding the ring onto his finger. "I await your next sacrifice on the next new moon," said the blood god, vanishing from sight. Chapter 4. Everything I Am. Smiling at how the blood god was happy with the sacrifice he had received, Naruto looked over to Metit, who was currently looking at the two magic knights that had been paralyzed like they were, merely shaking his head at how she was already having sadistic thoughts on how to have fun with them. They soon heard footsteps down the stairs. Casting his fog spell, Naruto got ready to attack at the person who would be dumb enough to cross his path. But he was never expecting the person to know his name, or the fact that the person was Mei. "Naruto? Where are you?" she called as she walked through the fog. "I'll kill this whelp for you, my lord," said Metit, only to be grabbed by Naruto, who dispelled the spell. "What are you doing?" stated Metit. "Silence. This woman is not my enemy, said Naruto, stepping out from cover for Mei to see him. She is the woman who loves me. Is that really you, Naruto? She asked with Naruto nodding his head. It is Mei, said Naruto as he approached Mei, only to have her embrace him as she squeezed the life out of him in fear that he'd leave her. At last. I'm with you once more, stated Mei, sounding to be desperate, and now having tears run down her cheeks. You're here. I'm here, said Naruto as he hugged her back, much to her surprise and pleasure. After they broke from the hug, Mei turned to find Metit, who did not look all that happy. For Metit, this was a serious compromise. For all she knew, this woman could very much snitch to the king and queen that Naruto was the one who was killing everything. But she was surprised when Mei smiled to her. Nice to meet you. Who might you be? Asked Mei. The cursed, responded Metit, only to be looked at by Naruto. Her name is Metit, one of the harbingers, replied Naruto as Mei nodded her head. I see. But I'm not gonna snitch on you. After all, this is something you have to do, said Mei, with Naruto smiling to her as he ran his hand through her auburn long hair, with Mei becoming rigid from his touch. You've changed, said Naruto, with Mei looking to him with a smile. So have you. You seem more powerful than that night, said Mei, with Naruto nodding his head. I can imagine as to how strong the ripples have become from the time I left to now, said Naruto. As much as I enjoy talking with you, don't you have to make yourself scarce? I reckon many magic knights felt your power, said Mei, with Naruto nodding his head and looking to Metit. Understood. I see you soon, said Naruto as he and Metit vanished from sight. It was good seeing you. Hopefully I can be with you again soon, said Mei as she went back to her room. The next morning, slowly opening his eyes to find not only Metit, but Enigma and Albedo in bed with him. A maid slowly opened the doors to Naruto's chambers as the maid walked over to him. Sorry to disturb you, my lord, but Lady Senna has returned with information for you, said the maid, with Naruto slowly crawling out from under the girls. I see. Thank you for telling me. Tell Senna I will be there soon, said Naruto, with the maid leaving. Once Naruto was dressed, he headed to the throne room where he found Senna. Now, Senna's father was an avid worshipper to the king and queen. He would do everything possible to try and stay in the king's good books, even though he was. Senna didn't like such a lifestyle, with her family always getting what they wanted. So she rebelled and ran away from home. On the third day, when she ran from home, she met Naruto, who offered her a place to live. She accepted and soon found herself part of the Harbingers. She and Naruto became lovers 3 months after her joining. She was a devout follower of Naruto, but didn't worship the blood god. This was fine in Naruto's eyes, and he very much enjoyed his time with her. She told Naruto that she didn't want to be pregnant just yet, as she wanted the storm of what was going on to die down first. Her title in the Harbingers was the Ice Queen. Sitting down on his throne, Asena bowed to her ruler and lover. Her charcoal black hair was kept neat, and on her face was a pair of glasses that looked pretty hot for her. She wore a military-styled uniform. And yes, she was a sleeper agent for Naruto, even giving him information on the various things that was going on. Ah, Asena. Good to see you again, said Naruto as Senna lifted her head. I missed you, my lord. She purred as Naruto shifted in his seat as he leaned forward. I did too. But we have more pressing matters. What news have you brought me? Asked Naruto, with Senna pulling out some documents and handing them to Naruto. I see. So the rebel leader wishes to negotiate, said Naruto, with Senna nodding her head. Yes. Due to the rebels being in a losing streak, the leader wishes to speak with you. Not much is revealed other than that, said Senna, with Naruto closing the documents and smiling to her, which resulted in her blushing at him. Well done, Senna. You've done me a good service on procuring these documents. Come closer, said Naruto, with Senna making her way to Naruto only to be pulled into his lap. Giving her on the lips, Senna giggled as she had him back. But as they got handsy with each other, the doors to the throne room were thrown open as Taiyo was seen making her way to Naruto. My love, we have reports of enemy forces heading here, she said, with Senna climbing off Naruto's lap. What type of enemies? Asked Naruto. Bandits, They seem to be asking the question as to where their leader has gone. Stated Taiyo. I see. Well, let me go and clean house. Might even have a few left barely alive for me to play with, said Naruto as he made his way out the throne room and to the outside, with the king and queen standing before the cell where they kept the man who was shit scared of the one who would kill him. To their horror, the very man they swore they'd protect was dead. Not only that, but the 2 magic knights stationed to guard the man were gone as well. Clenching his teeth as a hiss of frustration left his lips, the king spun around and looked to Mei, who was standing there. For once in her life, Mei feared what was going to happen to her. She was very much worried that the king had found out that she knew the necromancer, aka the Black Hunter. But her fears were thrown away when the king asked her to do something. Bring in Isuzu Sento, our elite guard unit. She is to track down the Black Hunter and kill him, said the king in rage. Of course, my lord, said Mei, walking away. Chapter 5. The Rebel's Master. It had been well over 2 days since Naruto saw Mei again, and received word from Senna that the rebel leader seeks to create an alliance with him. Not only had he agreed to this development, but this will help bolster his army quite a bit. He just had to ensure that the rebels would be willing to lower their heads and worship the blood god. That was the only thing needed. As well, they had to receive the mark of the beast to prove their loyalty. All members of the Harbingers had a mark of the beast, and it was always found over their right kidney. Yes, it was painful to have a piece of hot steel slammed into your skin, not to mention having magic imbued into the seal, but it was worth it as it tied them into the world of magic to a degree. As for the undead forces, they had their mark of the beast on their foreheads, just to show that their minds belonged to the blood god. Naruto could be found in the throne room, sitting there as his head rested on his right hand. He waited patiently for the rebels to make their way to his castle. And boy, were they taking their sweet time. This was rather boring. But his musings were cut short when the doors to the throne room opened to reveal Albedo, standing there, as she held a bouquet of black roses. No doubt to replace the ones in the castle's throne room. Smiling to her as she placed the new roses in the vase, she made her way to the throne where Naruto was and sat on his lap while Naruto's other hand went to her waist and began to caress her shapely ass. You're bored, aren't you? She queried while Naruto merely sighed his admit. Then allow me to help you pass the time. She purred into his ear and gave it a lick before smiling like the seductress she was. Outside the castle, a rather large force could be seen massing outside the castle of the Black Hunter. A white flag seen right at the very front of the masses as a very shapely woman with an hourglass figure with charcoal black hair with spider earrings and spider webs in her eyes. Her porcelain skin was almost doll-like while a black fan rested in her hands. Her nails were painted black and she wore a full black dress. In all manner of respect, she carried herself as if she was an aristocrat. A rather small midget-like man walked by her side as they moved towards the castle. As they walked along the castle, tombstones lined the sides of the walkway to the castle as many of the soldiers' eyes darted to the tombstones gathered. A rather unpleasant aura about the graves hung above them. Are you certain we will gain an audience and the alliance with the Black Hunter? I heard he is rather ruthless, as if he was the devil himself, stated the man with the woman, chuckling. That is what you'd expect from someone who is contracted to the blood god. A person filled with evil intent and cares nothing for the outcome. A ruthless man who accepts nothing short of victory. He impresses me so much that he is willing to go so far, replied the woman as they stopped before the great doors of the castle as Enigma was seen standing there with her arms crossed and a rather unhappy look on her face. You're so late. Lord Hunter refuses such tardy behavior, hissed Enigma as she glared to the woman. You will not speak ill will to Lady Arachne, spoke the midget. You are in the territory of the last necromancer in all existence. Show respect, you little imp, growled Enigma. That's quite all right, Mosquito, said the woman identified as Arachne, closing her fan. We are rather late, and we did keep the one we wished to see waiting rather patiently. Late behavior is unbecoming of someone of such benevolence, she stated with Enigma nodding her head as she snapped her fingers with the great doors slowly opening with a thunderous creak. Follow me and don't wander off. Unless you wish to become food for the ghouls and zombies or whatever else lurks inside here. stated Enigma as she looked to the large force behind the woman. The imp and you can follow. Your army is to stay behind, stated Enigma with Arachne nodding her head. This is your territory after all. Your house, your rules, said Arachne with Enigma shaking her head. Not my house. Lord Hunter's house. You're just guests, said Enigma as she led them away to the throne room with the great doors closing shut behind them. The hallways were rather dark and long as purple torches mounted on pillars lined the sides. Statues that looked to have seen better days lined the sides of them along with a few portraits. The midget decided to stop before one of them. Arachne stopped and turned to the imp only to have Enigma estio her. He must learn what happens if you're not careful, said Enigma. Arachne watched on as Mosquito looked to the portrait. The picture itself was that of a rather posh woman standing there as she gazed into the distance. But the eyes of the picture seemed to be looking at the imp, casting a rather tranquil feeling over him. Slowly, Mosquito made his way to the portrait. It was only when he was close enough to the image did he jump back in fear as the image of the woman leapt from the portrait but was still connected to the picture and scream at the midget as it desperately clawed at the air to try and grab hold of the man. Her eyes were completely gone with blood running down her eyes as she continued her ear-piercing scream. Her hair was white and frizzy while her nails were long. Enigma merely smiled as she snapped her fingers, making the possessed woman return to being the beautiful woman in the picture. That was just one of the curses in this castle. When Lord Hunter killed the previous ruler of this castle, he turned the entire thing into a cursed castle. Nearly everything in this castle is cursed and will attack anything and everything that isn't affiliated with Lord Hunter in any way. So this castle is alive then, said Arachne with Enigma shrugging her shoulders. To a degree, said Enigma as she led them down the hallway and stopped before the throne room doors. Beyond these doors is Lord Hunter. Remember, whatever he says, you are to listen to. His word is law and whatever he asks goes. The two nodded their heads and Enigma pushed the doors open to reveal Naruto on his throne as Albedo kneeled between his legs as she bobbed her head. The sounds of moaning were heard from her as Naruto merely looked on unfazed. Lord Hunter, I've brought them as you requested, said Enigma bowing to Naruto. You have my thanks. Find the cursed and tell her that the time has come, said Naruto as Enigma nodded her head and headed off to find Meteet. Lord Hunter, necromancer and champion of the blood god, we have come to. I know why you're here. You've come to make an alliance with me, said Naruto as he ran his fingers through Albedo's hair, earning a moan as she pulled her head from his rod. Does this please you, Lord Hunter? She asked as she slowly stroked him. Very much so, lust, stated Naruto with Albedo taking him back into her mouth. We seek to bolster our forces by asking for your help. Please accept, said Mosquito as he lowered his hat. Let me stop you right there. I don't give favors. I only give them to those who are willing to subjugate themselves. You have no other reason to be here if you only seek to use me for your own whims. You're on strike too right now. Choose carefully on your next choice of words, 'cause they can get you thrown out and fed to the castle, growled Naruto. My lord, for years we've been saving those who have been kicked out for no reason. I've been named many things, from child snatcher to the witch of youth. I beg you. We've repelled forces from the Empire for so long, only to be forced into a corner. Please. I realize we've been brash in our actions in desiring your help, that we've lost sight that you're the ultimate ruler. If you help us, I'll give you my body, said Arachne only to watch Naruto pull Albedo's mouth from his tool and put himself back into his pants, and slowly rise to his feet. Hunk tormentorm vincula. And chains of torment, called Naruto with Arachne slamming against the wall behind her as multiple chains burst forth from the ground behind her and wrapped around her body. Lady Arachne, called the midget only to have several chains wrap around him as well. Stay out of this, bug, snarled Naruto. Please, I'll give you it all. Every piece of my body and soul. She stated only to have another set of 2 chains wrap around her neck and tighten. All of it is yours. Letting her down, Naruto slowly walked to her and held out a hand while he kept a neutral expression of his face. Arachne took the offered hand and was lifted to her feet as she looked to his eyes. Your soul belongs to the blood god now. Do you accept? stated Naruto with Arachne nodding her head. I am yours, stated Arachne as she rubbed her neck where the chains held her. The ritual will be held tonight. Be there, said Naruto with Arachne nodding again. Behemoth, called Naruto with Taiyo making her way to the throne room. You called Lord Hunter? She asked with Naruto nodding his head. Take this woman to a room, said Naruto as Taiyo nodded her head. As you wish. Follow me, stated Taiyo as they walked off. Walking back to his throne, Naruto sat down with Albedo sitting on his lap as she stroked him through his pants. You still have so much more to give, she said with Naruto picking her up bridal style and taking her to his chambers. Then why don't I show you how much I have to give? Cooed Naruto as Albedo smiled and ran her fingers through his hair. Make love to me, Lord Hunter, she purred as the doors to Naruto's chambers flew open. Chapter 6. The Ritual of Blood. Opening the doors to one of the rooms inside the castle, Taiyo looked on as Arachne made her way into the room while she told Mosquito that he'd be staying in the room down. Turning to the warrior bunny, Arachne pieced it all together in her head. Now I remember. Rumor has it that a tribe of powerful warrior bunnies rebelled against the Empire and vanished off the face of the map. Never thought you'd be here, said Arachne only to have Taiyo show zero emotion. The Empire turned its back on my people when we received no form of aid from them. The only one to help us was Lord Hunter. Hell, he even said he was just passing through. Sure, that says something, but he went out his way to help us. Yes, his request was extreme, but it was worth it as we are now more stronger than ever before. Not only that, but I am free to do what I wish, stated Taiyo with the sound of a little girl's scream echoed through the halls and a little girl with platinum blonde bunny ears on top her head along with blonde hair with highlights of white slammed into her leg. Mother! Mother! Cheered the girl with Taiyo dropping to her knees and scooping up her daughter. Mio, how is my little girl doing? Asked Taiyo with a smile on her face while Arachne stood there shocked. Bored. Daddy won't play with me. He says he's too busy, said Mio with Taiyo chuckling to her daughter. Well, your father is a busy man. He is the lord of this castle after all, said Taiyo as her daughter smiled to her and jumped out her hands and ran off to find her half-siblings. Turning to Arachne, Taiyo found the woman staring at her as if a huge secret was pulled into light. What? Questioned Taiyo. You have a child? Stated Arachne with Taiyo nodding her head. Yes. And another on the way, added Taiyo while placing a hand over her womb. You mentioned that the child's father is the lord of the castle. Could it be Lord Hunter? Questioned Arachne only to have Taiyo nod her head. When he saved my tribe that day, I felt it was only right to offer something equal to him saving my tribe. So I gave my body to him. He treated me like gold. I was also made one of the harbingers. Even though I am stronger now, I am only the second harbinger. Lust was the first harbinger, stated Taiyo slowly walking out the door. Be prepared to move when Lord Hunter requests it. He hates waiting, stated Taiyo as she headed out the door only to have Mosquito walk into Arachne's room when Taiyo left. My lady, forgive me for allowing this to happen to you. You must be in a lot of pain, stated Mosquito taking his top hat off. I expected this to happen. After all, Lord Hunter doesn't take kindly to those who only seek their own gain. I see this as a win-win situation. By gaining the aid of Lord Hunter and me become his subordinate, we will gain the power needed to defend ourselves, said Arachne. I understand. I will await further instructions if need be, said Mosquito walking out the room. With Naruto, the sex session he and Albedo had was more of a quickie to pass a few minutes. The succubus could be found laying on her back while Naruto sat on the bed, both in the nude. Looking over to her lord and lover, Albedo looked to his many scars across his back. She knew how he got those. They were from a few of the skirmishes he was faced with. But they were mere lucky hits from enemies, while some of them were from training in his new powers. Lacing her arms around his body while she pressed herself into his back, she licked his ear. Why is my lover so upset? She asked only to have Naruto shake his head. Not upset. Just deep in thought. Stated Naruto. Uh-huh. And what is our illustrious leader thinking on? Questioned Albedo with a slightly hint of sarcasm. Arachne. She has what it takes to be a harbinger, stated Naruto with Albedo raising an eyebrow. But for her to be a harbinger, she is to be skilled in everything set out for her. Victory at any cost must be the sole reason in her mind. Said Albedo only to have Naruto look at her with a scold. You do forget that it was I who made the rite of passage to become a harbinger. If I'm not mistaken, you were the first to become a harbinger. Growled Naruto with Albedo throwing her hands up in surrender. Okay, you got me. But are you certain you wish to make her a harbinger? Questioned Albedo with Naruto getting up and getting dressed. It is what I wish. After all, she has the potential to be one. Stated Naruto heading out the door and heading to his throne. When he got there, he found Taiyo standing there while her daughter ran about in the throne room while her mother struggled to get her daughter to stop running about in the throne room. Mio, your father will surely scold you should he find you disrupting his sanctuary. Stated Taiyo with Mio laughing like no tomorrow. Father would never find out. He's too busy with many other things. Plus, I inherited his powers. So She didn't finish her sentence as the air soon began to steam while Naruto made his way over to Taiyo and slung his arms around her waist and pulled her close to him. Taiyo merely closed her eyes as she moaned from his touch. Mio, how many times must I tell you? Disrupting this castle will cause you to be attacked by it. It is both a home and a prison. So should you try anything like this again, you will find yourself in purgatory where you will stay for a week. Snarled Naruto with Mio slamming on the brakes as the walls of the throne room began to move to form hands that reached for her. I'm sorry, father. I didn't mean to. Pleaded Mio as the hands clawed at the air to try and grab hold of Mio. Snapping his fingers, the walls turned back to normal with Taiyo turning to look at her lover while she embraced him. Took you long enough. Said Taiyo only have Naruto give her on the lips. I apologize for doing that. Are you okay? Asked Naruto only to have Taiyo giggle. I told you before. If I was in pain, you'd know firsthand. Stated Taiyo only to have Naruto pull her into his arms. These are dangerous times. If any of those I love are killed, I couldn't live with myself. Said Naruto with Taiyo giving him a passionate, I'll always return to your arms. And on occasions bed. Said Taiyo breaking from Naruto. I know. Sorry, just getting slightly paranoid. Said Naruto making his way to his throne and sitting. You'll win. No two ways about that. The blood god chose you for a reason. To make the world yours. Said Taiyo with Naruto nodding as he sat back in his throne, making himself look like a proper ruler. Bring in Arachne. It's time to do the ritual. Said Naruto with Taiyo bowing to Naruto and leaving with Mio being told to play with Samo. With Arachne sitting on the bed, the gorgeous woman sat as Mosquito held a bottle of wine he had smuggled in using his top hat. As Arachne sipped the wine in her glass, the doors to her chambers flew open with Taiyo standing there. Lord Hunter has requested your presence. The ritual will take place. Said Taiyo with Arachne getting off the bed. What is this ritual? Questioned Arachne with Taiyo nodding as to how vague Naruto could be at times. The ritual is where you receive the mark of the beast. It is by no means a way for Lord Hunter to control us, but it does tie us to him. Only a select few of us gain the honor of getting the mark of the beast. Said Taiyo. But just what does it do? Asked Arachne with Taiyo shaking her head. I can't answer that question. Lord Hunter shall explain more to you. Right now, you are needed to be present in the throne room. Stated Taiyo with the two following her. Once they made it to the throne room, they found Naruto sitting there while Wiz was seen standing beside Naruto who had a hand holding up his head. So, are you ready to do the ritual? Asked Naruto looking to Arachne. I am. She said with Naruto getting up from his seat. Follow me. The imp stays here. Said Naruto as he walked off with Wiz and Taiyo trailing him. Arachne too followed them, and she found she was being led into the bottom level of the castle, and into the dungeon. Screams of pained souls echoed through the cells while the sound of a woman's laugh echoed with the cries of help. Don't bother looking inside. The cursed is busy with her playthings and she doesn't like being disturbed. Said Naruto as they stopped at the end of the dungeon. Opening a door to find Enigma stoking the fire pit in the center of the room, she bowed to Naruto and walked to a wall where she leaned on it. Looking around the room, Arachne found that there wasn't much in the room at all. Other than a steel bar mounted to the wall, and the fire pit with iron rods in it. What is this mark of the beast? Asked Arachne, looking to Naruto. The mark of the beast is proof that you are part of the Harbingers. You see, nearly all members of the Harbingers have a mark of the beast. I say nearly all, because only one of the Harbingers doesn't have a mark. Even though she is on my side. The mark of the beast is similar to that of signing a contract. A contract with myself and the blood god. Stated Naruto, walking over to Arachne. Are you prepared to gain the mark of the beast? I am. Said Arachne. Grab the bar. Said Naruto, walking over to the fire pit. Doing as what she was instructed to do, Arachne took hold of the bar and looked behind her to find Naruto pulling out a red-hot iron rod with the same mark he had on his hand. Walking over to her, Naruto moved part of her dress away to reveal her smooth cream skin. It's better to look away for this part, as it will hurt like hell, said Naruto, pulling the iron rod back. Doing as the necromancer stated, Arachne looked at the damp wall ahead of her and braced for what was to come. A powerful hissing noise followed by the pained cries of Arachne echoed through the dungeon as the hot metal was placed on her skin. Naruto stood there unfazed by her cries of pain as he held the iron rod in place on her skin. After a few minutes he pulled it away with the mark of the beast now being present on Arachne's skin. Credo, in possessionum. Invocation, possession. Called Naruto as he held out his hand. A tendril of dark magic burst forth from the ground between the two of them. The tendril then moved to the scorched patch of skin and entered the mark. Arachne threw her head back as she cried out in pain as she felt something vile and twisted, yet warm and comforting as well enter her being. Once it was over, Arachne slumped over and fell to her knees. Naruto smiled at this and looked to Enigma, who was in the room with him along with Taiyo and Wiz. He nodded to them and they nodded back. Ensure she is trained in the ways of being a harbinger. She has just taken the first steps in becoming one. No ordinary person can survive the transcribing. Stated Naruto, with him and Taiyo walking out, leaving Enigma and Wiz. Why does Taiyo get to go with him and we don't? Whined Wiz as she and Enigma hefted up the passed out body of Arachne. Let me rephrase that for you. Taiyo carries Naruto's child. And Naruto specifically told Taiyo that she is to take things easy. Stated Enigma, with Wiz clicking her tongue. Whatever. Said Wiz as they walked out, carrying Arachne to her room to rest up and get ready for the next stage of becoming a harbinger. Chapter 7. The Necromancer's Love. It had been a total of 4 weeks since Arachne had become a harbinger. And she had found a rather unique talent from the small bit of dark magic given to her by Naruto and the blood god. Ever since she began her training, she devoted everything to the glory of the blood god. She had unlocked her magic not long after that, and was given the name, the Spider Witch. A woman who could use the very spiders to her advantage. Her chambers were modified and had spider webs everywhere. Her soldiers that she brought with her were turned to become undead and served as a means to be used as support fighters on the front lines. Mosquito was made captain of those units while Arachne did a large amount of mission solo. Not only was she excellent at her job, she had also fallen hopelessly in love with her master. But how was she going to address the situation? Her and Meteet had formed quite the friendship, and Meteet told her to just pounce on Naruto like she did. But she voted against such an idea, as that would surely break the rules formed through master and servant. But she had to do something about these issues, so tonight, she was going to finally fix these growing issues. Once and for all. When the night finally came around, she made her way to Naruto's chambers and knocked on the door. Enter. Boomed the voice inside, slowly opening the door to find Naruto sitting in a throne-like chair by the fire that burned with a purple flame, while Naruto held a glass of whiskey in his one hand. What is it, Arachne? Asked Naruto, his gaze never breaking from the flames. I have something I wish to ask you. She stated, watching as Naruto took a sip from his drink. And that is? He questioned. What are your views of me? She asked, with Naruto placing the glass down on the tray held out by a maid by his side. You are my elite guard, and are my most prized possessions. You are all dear to me, and will be rewarded greatly by the blood god when you die. He replied. Am I just another means to an end? She asked, with Naruto getting up and making his way to her. Why do you see yourself in such a light? Yes, you're now a harbinger, but you're still you. Whatever others think, you are you. stated Naruto. Taiyul and the others are all part of the Harbingers, but you are your own person. But what about intimacy? She asked with Naruto laying a hand on her shoulder and feeling her shoulder. I see where this is going, said Naruto with a smirk. Your feelings are growing due to the love you have for me. Arachne merely nodded her head as she kept her eyes glued to the carpet she stood on. It's dumb, I know. Just a stupid crush, I guess. I shouldn't FAMGH. Arachne didn't finish her sentence as Naruto tackled her lips and pulled her close to his body. Arachne's hands moved on their own as they wrapped around his neck while she pressed her body against his. But she snapped her mind out of it and blushed hard while looking away. Sorry, she said, only for Naruto to give her on the lips. No need to apologize, Arachne. If this is what you wish, then I shall grant it, said Naruto with Arachne locking her eyes with his and then began to him a second time. Lemon has been removed, pulling out of her, causing Arachne to fall face first into the pillows of the bed. She breathed in and out harshly from the experience. She soon felt herself being scooped up and placed on Naruto's chest, to which she snuggled into, and fell into a blissful sleep. Naruto too followed suit, and soon he was sleeping soundly along with Arachne. But from outside the doors to Naruto's chambers stood one Meteet. She had overheard everything between the two when they had sex. She slowly turned around and left without making a noise, a smile adorning her face. Guess it's only a matter of time until we have another child running about the castle, she said to herself as she made her way back to her chambers to continue her research on creating the most strongest curse. After a few hours, Naruto woke up and found Arachne now sleeping next to him. Looking outside, he found it to be late in the afternoon. Getting out the bed and throwing on his clothes, he walked out the castle and made his way to the throne room to exit the castle, only to find Kamiura standing there while a woman with bleached blonde hair knelt down, bound in chains. Kamiura was one of the best among the Harbingers. Her exploits were legendary, and she was even feared nearly everywhere in the Empire. The name she went by as Mistress of Darkness. She was the last pure-blooded vampire. There were many other vampires, but that was before a vampire decided to get too greedy for blood and killed a man in broad daylight. After that, many vampires were put down. Kamiura escaped, but just barely. She found herself collapsing just before the castle where Naruto resided. She was taken in and nursed back to health. From there, she became one of the Harbingers and even had sex with Naruto on many occasions. She hadn't fallen pregnant just yet, but she was planning on falling pregnant soon. Her features looked to be that of a rather mix between being posh and slutty. She followed the norm of, if you have the assets, show them. She had long purple hair that reached the middle of her back that was curled and styled. For clothing she wore long black gloves that came to her elbows and a deep purple dress. She was one of Naruto's spies. She would go into any city and play the part of a prostitute, and find out information from men that were seduced by her. But she never let them have sex with her, as she vowed that her body belonged only to Naruto. Once she had gained the information, she drained them of their blood, thus turning them into ghouls that were sent to the castle as workers or soldiers. Mistress of Darkness, I see you have brought me a gift, stated Naruto with Kamiura bowing to Naruto, showing off her lush bosom. I have, my lord. I found this little pest trying to sneak into the castle. She really needs to work on her stealth. She claims to be a member of the Royal Hunter Unit from the Empire, stated Kamiura with Naruto walking over to the woman in chains. Lifting the girl's head, Naruto found her to be rather attractive. She wore a royal red uniform but had the sleeves cut to show her shapely arms, while her clothing seemed to be rather tight in the chest department. What is your name? Braked Naruto. Isuzu Sento, retorted the woman with venom in her words. I see. And you must have come here to kill me. The Black Hunter, stated Naruto. I am to bring your head to the king and queen. Your tyranny is to end here, said Sento as she spat in Naruto's face, making Kamiura kick Sento in the jaw. You will not disrespect Lord Hunter in such a manner, snarled Kamiura while glowering daggers at Sento. That's quite all right. Take her to the dungeons, and make sure the curse doesn't get a hold of her, instructed Naruto with Kamiura bowing to him. I live to serve, she stated as she picked up Sento and dragged her to the dungeons. Walking out the castle, Naruto chose to see Mei once more. Using his magic to teleport to her post-ion, Naruto landed right by her window. Seeing her drying herself, from taking a bath no doubt, Naruto knocked on the window, gaining her attention. Mei stood there completely shell-shocked by what she was seeing. Naruto was once again visiting her. Quickly making her way to the window, she opened it and let Naruto in. "What are you doing here?" she questioned, with Naruto pulling her to him and giving her on the lips. "I wanted to see you again," stated Naruto, breaking to find her face to be dazed by the "I appreciate the sentiment, but the king and queen have stepped up the guards. After you killed that prisoner, they felt their security was being breached," stated Mei, with Naruto nodding his head. "I'd have done the same. But I had to see you. And just talk," said Naruto, with Mei nodding her head. "What do you wish to discuss?" asked Mei as they sat at a desk she used to study alchemy. Chapter 8. The Blood of the Necromancer. Waking up the next morning, Naruto woke up to find Taiyo sitting by a window as she gazed to the open abyss that was the territory she called home. Getting out of bed and making his way to her, he wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her into his chest, which made her close her eyes and smile, while a small moan escaped her lips from feeling the warm embrace of the man she loved. "Morning," she purred as she turned her head and gained it from him. "A good morning to you," said Naruto as his one hand traveled to her slowly growing stomach. "Not long now," said Taiyo as Naruto at her neck. "Not long until your child is born." "I know," said Naruto, rubbing her stomach, only to have the room suddenly grow dark with the fireplace lighting itself. Now was instantly on his knees while Taiyo lowered her head with her bunny ears dropping. "My lord, it is rather surprising that you come now," said Naruto, with a dark rumble like laughter echoed through the room. "Relax, my champion. I come with something I need you to know. Or should I say, two things. One being your heritage, the next being a mission you need to do." "Now," said the blood god as two flaming eyes were seen in the flames. "I understand. What is this heritage you speak of?" asked Naruto, only to have a tendril of flames hit him square in the forehead. Naruto's head flew back as he witnessed multiple flashes of a woman with blonde hair that was smiling while a man with blonde walked beside her, a child in their arms. By the end of it, Naruto hunched over while he breathed harshly while the memories flashed through his mind. Taiyo was rather scared right now. The magic Naruto had was beginning to swirl violently around him, and it was getting hard to breathe in the room. "Damn-a-mini-it!" cried Naruto as his eyes caught fire, being that of a full black nature. "What did you see?" asked Taiyo, shaking like a leaf. "Everything. Everything started from the king, and it will end with him. I am his son, though half of my blood isn't of royalty. From what I saw, I was conceived through the king by a concubine who was brought in by order of the queen, who was infertile. When I was placed into a pool of magic water to see if I had magic, they cast me aside when the water turned black, which signified that I had no magic," growled Naruto, with his power returning to be controlled. Looking to the flames, Naruto knelt to them once again. "May I ask one thing?" "Where is my mother?" asked Naruto. "That's the thing. That is your mission. Apparently, the king has ordered a hunt for her, and to have her brought in alive or dead. Bring her to the castle and have her taken care of," said the blood god, with the flames fading away. "Mobilize the undead forces. We're going on a hunt," said Naruto, with Taiyo placing a hand on his shoulder. "Be careful," she said, only to have Naruto give her on the lips, to which she happily responded to. "I promise to return," he said as he walked out, heading to the graves outside the castle. Naruto slammed his hands together, and then slammed them on the ground. At least 24 undead soldiers came out the ground and looked to their master, who stood back up. "We're going on a hunt. We're finding my mother and bringing her here. By any means that I find her bitten by any of you, I will permanently erase you from existence," stated Naruto, with the soldiers moving out with Naruto leading them. As they moved, they soon came to a forest where Naruto could feel incredible power coming from. This must be the place where his mother was. Making his way into the forest, Naruto and the undead forces spread out in order to effectively comb the area. But for Naruto, he came up to a rather simple little cottage. Smoke was seen coming out the top as the smell of food lured him closer. Slowly opening the door, Naruto came to the sight of a woman standing by a furnace as she cooked the food. But the door creaked as he opened the door, which caused her to become alert and spin to find him. She looked to be no older than 32. "Who are you?" she barked. "Easy. Is your name Tsunami? Concubine of the king?" asked Naruto. "So what if I am? Are you here to kill me? Rape me? Or both?" She hissed, only to have Naruto shake his head as a chuckle escaped his lips. "Would think nothing of it, mother," said Naruto, with the woman gain a massive shock. "You can't be my son," she growled. "He is dead. I trust you. I am alive. And I have this to prove it," said Naruto as he held out his hand, which was holding his grimoire. The book unlocked itself and the book fluttered open, with the pages stopping as a memory came out the one page, showing an infant Naruto being raised by the church he was raised at. "That little boy. That is definitely my son, Naruto," she said, letting a tear run down her cheek. "Are you really my son?" Naruto merely smirked as he nodded his head. "Yes, mother. I am alive and well. But I have been chosen for something far greater than anything," he said to her. "And what is that?" she asked. Before he could answer, one of the undead soldiers came into view and just grunted a few times while looking at Naruto. Tsunami was scared shitless that there was a walking corpse in her house and her son wasn't even fazed by it. "I see," said Naruto, with the soldier turning and hobbling away. "We've got company, mother. We need to get you out of here." "But where?" she asked. "My home," said Naruto, placing a hand on her shoulder, and they instantly teleported. Finding herself reappearing before a massive and rather spooky-looking castle, she marveled yet feared the sheer size of it. Naruto merely snapped his fingers while a purple seal was seen on the door. The doors soon opened and they walked in. "That teleportation ability is only something I can do once I've visited a place. And this is my home," said Naruto. "You live in a castle?" she gaped. "I live here, and this is my territory. The East Empire is soon about to fall to my rule. Once the forces have done enough damage, I'll be going there myself. I can't wait for you to meet your grandchildren," said Naruto, pushing the door to his throne open to reveal Taiyo, Meteet, Enigma, Albedo, and Wiz standing there. All five of them bowed to the two standing at the door. "Welcome home, my lord and lady," they said. "Mother, these are a few of my lovers. Taiyo, Meteet, Enigma, Albedo, and Wiz," said Naruto. "It's an honor to meet the mother of the man we love," said Wiz. "You said I had grandchildren?" said Tsunami, looking to Naruto, who nodded. As if 1K, Mio was seen chasing her half-siblings into the throne room while holding a summoned cursed weapon, which she must have conjured herself. "Mio, stop tormenting your siblings," said Naruto, with her stopping her actions by banishing her weapon. "Mother, these are your grandchildren," said Naruto, with Haruhiko walking to the woman. "It's a pleasure to meet you, grandmother," he said, with Tsunami smiling to him. "Such a well-mannered boy," said Tsunami, patting the boy's head. "He takes after his mother," said Naruto. "You must feel exhausted. Please, let me show you to your room." Naruto soon walked out the throne room and guided his mother to where she'd be staying the night. Once they stopped at a rather amazing royal chamber-like room, Tsunami turned to her son and asked the million-dollar question. "You were born without magic. You were abandoned by your father, the king, because of that. I was banished from the kingdom as well for siring an heir with no magic. How do you have magic?" she asked. Naruto merely held up his hand to show her the mark he had. She was completely stunned as she had heard of the mark of the beast. "I am in a contract with the blood god, and my task is to set him free," said Naruto as his mother's face turned dark. "Then ensure you are successful. Make this world burn for the pain it has done to others," said Tsunami. "Will do," said Naruto, turning, but not before giving her a final piece of information. "The maids of this castle are all human but are followers of the blood god. But the soldiers and guards are undead. They won't attack you at all. I'll assign a few maids for you." "Thank you, my son," she said, with Naruto walking out and closing the doors. Chapter 9: The Turning Heart. With Tsunami now settled in the castle, Naruto motioned for Taiyo to follow him. She walked alongside her master/lover as they headed down the stairs to the dungeon. Naruto told Taiyo of his plans with Sento. She didn't agree that it would be a good idea at first, but calmed down and soon agreed that it would be beneficial for them to have another spy in the Empire. That was if Sento could be persuaded. Finally reaching the cell Sento was in, Naruto unlocked the door and opened it to find Sento chained to the wall as she sat in the damp cell. Sento looked up to her captors and glared at them. "What do you intend to do? Rape me? Kill me?" She spat at Naruto. "Nothing of the sort," said Naruto as he snapped his fingers with the shackles unlocking. "I intend to show you something." "And what would happen should I kill you now?" asked Sento, getting up slowly. "I would hope you didn't. At least, not until you've seen what I have to show you," stated Naruto. "What is it you wish to show me?" she queried. "Why I am doing this," responded Naruto as he and Taiyo walked out. Sento reluctantly followed them and headed out the castle and along a path that led to a rather large village. A few undead guards and forces sluggishly walked by as if they weren't there. Once they made it to the village, Sento found herself amazed. Living people were seen in the busy streets of the village. Children played with one another while women and men spoke with one another. Walking along the streets, they stopped at a tavern named Drinking Spell. Opening the doors, the owner spotted them and made her way to them. Once she arrived to them, Sento noted that she was a warrior bunny. She had long brown hair and bunny ears on her head. She had a typical common dress on and her eyes were a crystal blue. The bunny bowed to Naruto. "Glad to see you, Lord Hunter," she said, only to have Naruto place a hand on her shoulder. "No need to call me that, Delilah. You were Taiyo's top assassin and advisor. Such formalities are not needed around me, seeing that Taiyo respects you," said Naruto for the woman to look to him. "Of course, Naruto," she said. "Table for 3. said Taiyo with Delilah nodding to them. "Of course. This way, please," she said as she led them to an empty seat. Once they were seated down, Naruto asked for a coffee, Taiyo asked for a glass of water, and Sento asked for nothing. As they waited for their orders, Naruto looked to Sento to find her rather uncomfortable, and was glaring daggers at the necromancer. "Tell me one thing. What are your views of the Empire?" asked Taiyo as she got up from her seat and sat in Naruto's lap. "The Empire is a righteous home for all who have magic. The very heart of where all new magic is created," said Sento. "Is it? Well, actually, I was born in the Empire. Just found out now quite recently, actually. As it turns out, your precious king is my father. He slept with a concubine to conceive me. But when I was shown to have no magic, I was abandoned." "What type of family does that?" barked Naruto. "One which I refuse to have. Besides, not only have I received everything I want, I still retain my rightful place as a ruler," said Taiyo as she felt her ass get pinched by Naruto, making her squeak from his touch. "What could you possibly have that makes you different to the Empire?" barked Sento as their drinks came in, with Delilah wishing Taiyo a wonderful and prosperous life when their child will be born. "We're a family," barked Naruto, making Sento scoff at the idea. "Really? A band of misfits. A group of people who have rebelled against the Empire. A family. That's a joke," chuckled Sento, only to have Meteet join them at the table and called for Delilah to bring her some tea. "So, what are you talking about?" she asked. "Oh, just telling Sento here as to how we treat each other," said Taiyo. "Ah, we're a family. Numerous times when I had my back against the wall, I had Naruto to back me up. He sent in forces to save me countless times," stated Meteet. "And what has the Empire done for you?" asked Taiyo, leaning her head against Naruto's shoulder. "I was given the title of hunter when I turned 14. I am their top bounty hunter. They see me as someone they can trust," stated Sento rather proudly. "Really? Then why haven't they come to retrieve you?" asked Naruto, catching Sento there. "They were most likely killed by you," shot Sento, only for Naruto to shake his head. "I haven't even faced any of the magic knights at all." "Face it, you're expendable to them," hissed Naruto. "I am not expendable," growled Sento. "Then why haven't they come to rescue you?" "They see you as someone who can be replaced, whereas I see my own people as family. People I care for," growled Naruto, hating that they were going round in circles with this argument. But just as the argument was about to get violent, a maid was seen running into the cafe and to Naruto. Lord Hunter, the Spider Witch has returned but needs your help. She's been injured badly," said the maid. Sento thought Naruto was going to remark that they should just toss the witch aside. But to her shock, Naruto surged off with Taiyotsu jumping up along with Meteet and sprinting to the castle. Deciding to join them, Sento ran alongside them as a huge mass of people were also seen running. The people stopped at the castle doors while the four of them ran inside and into Arachne's room. Throwing the doors open, Naruto came to the sight of Arachne laying on the bed as a massive spike was sticking out from her lung. Her face racked with pain as she lay there, panting hard. "Damn it! Arachne, stay with me," hissed Naruto as he grabbed the spike and yanked it out. Grabbing hold of a dagger from the wall, Naruto slit his thumb and began to write with his own blood around Arachne. Taiyo and Meteet knew exactly what Naruto was going to do and climbed onto the bed with Arachne, urging her to stay awake. Once Naruto was done writing, he threw open his grimoire and wrote in it as well with his one bleeding thumb. Once he was done there, Naruto let the grimoire go, which began floating there as Naruto began to chant, "I invoke a contract with the god of death and life. Use my blood as payment, as a means to take your anger out on me to save the life of this soul before me. I invoke the power that lays within me to secure and cut ties between heaven and hell. Restoration!" cried Naruto with the wound on Arachne closing shut with no scars whatsoever and her breathing in sharply while the blood riding around her fizzled away. Naruto soon breathed in a sigh of relief as the grimoire closed shut and locked itself as Naruto soon passed out from what he just did. Taiyo got off the bed while two maids came in and assisted Meteet take Naruto back to his chambers. Taiyo made her way outside and informed them of the good news, which caused the people to cheer and praise at how amazing the Blood God and Naruto were. Sento was completely blown away by this. She had always thought that these people only cared for themselves and never cared as to what happens in the future. It was exactly how Naruto told her. They saw each other as a family and cared and looked out for one another. Then she thought back to how she was like in the Empire. How she would sometimes fail a mission and end up being beaten by her commanding officer. She wanted to be part of something where others cared for her. Not how she was cared for only when she did something good. She then began to think that she'd stay here now. And that maybe living here wasn't such a bad idea. Chapter 10: The New Contract. With Sento agreeing to stay around to get a feel of the place before she made a decision, Naruto could be seen in his room. It had been a week since Arachne was injured, like she was with Naruto using a spell to save her. She learned that the spell he used can only be used once a day and wasn't used in a sense of saving days for uses. For instance, if he doesn't use it today, he can't use it twice the next day. It was a forbidden spell provided to him by the blood god that eats away at a small piece of his life force in order to invoke a blood pact with the blood god to steal the soul from the clutches of death and give it back to the person. And seeing that Arachne was close to death, the spell had to be done. When she learned that Naruto gave a small piece of his life as payment for her soul, she thanked Naruto in the only way she knew. By sleeping with him. Imagine her surprise when she discovered she was pregnant. As Naruto looked on at the glowing amber flames of the fireplace, a drink in his hands and a maid holding a clear glass bottle of a rather expensive whiskey in her hands. On Naruto's bed rested Albedo, sleeping rather soundly as her clothes laid all over the room. The smell of sex slightly in the air as Naruto kept his eyes glued to the fire, but the room soon went dark with the flames of the fire turning purple. Naruto was instantly on his knees before the flames. "Master, what is your orders?" said Naruto as two purple fireballs came out the flames to resemble eyes. "It has come to my attention that you have the last pure-blooded vampire as a mistress. Correct?" asked the blood god. "Yes, my master. Kamiura is in the castle resting," said Naruto. "Excellent. Bring her here," said the blood god with the maid bowing and walking out to get the last vampire. A few minutes later, Kamiura was seen walking into the room and instantly bowed to the flames alongside Naruto. "Hail your godliness. Kamiura at your service," she said. "It has come to my attention on the power Naruto holds in you. Tell me, what is the power of the vampire like?" asked the blood god. "The power is amazing. Not only is it powerful, but it is increased beyond anything during a blood moon. But a blood moon only happens once every 50 years. replied Kamiura. I want you to turn my champion here into a vampire. But ensure he isn't under your command. Make him a full-blown Night Lord, said the blood god with Kamiura nodding her head. As you wish, my lord, she said with the flames dying out. Turning to her master and lover, Kamiura grabbed Naruto's hand and led him to the courtyard. There he bit her wrist and held it out to him. To begin, all you have to do is drink my blood. The vampiric power will latch onto your blood and turn you, said Kamiura. Doing as she said, Naruto placed his mouth over the wound she made and began to drink from her vein. Feeling the blood of the vampire flowing into his body, Naruto soon began to feel hot. Like his entire body was thrown into a pool of lava. Pulling her arm away, Naruto collapsed onto the floor and passed out then and there. After a few minutes, Naruto's eyes snapped open while he groaned in pain from the feeling that happened to him. Growing as he brought himself up to his feet, he rubbed his temples and found Kamiura sitting on a chair before him. Are you all right? You were out for 2 hours, she said looking worried. I'm fine. But now let's begin, said Naruto with Kamiura nodding her head. As instructed by the blood god, you are now a Night Lord vampire, meaning you're on the same level as me. You hold various abolites for yourself to use, but they aren't available to you as you are contracted to the blood god first. But you have gained the form of the vampire. Take on the form now, said Kamiura with Naruto nodding. Wings soon shot out his back as his features became more demonic as his eyes turned to become blood red while his nails became longer. His hair also turned to become full snow white. Kamiura nodded her head as she looked to him. Excellent. Now that you're like this, you will be able to drain the life from your victims, and you will be able to command the person's mind. A rather powerful ability. This is only achieved through the power of the vampire form. As you grow in your vampire form, you will gain a more denser form of power, allowing you to destroy anyone who wishes to stop you. Blood is also an issue as you need to feed every once in a while to negate the bloodlust, said Kamiura with Naruto turning back to normal. Understood, said Naruto with Kamiura nodding her head. Excellent. That's all there is to it. As for the sun, you will be slightly weakened by it, but with your magic, it won't be a hassle, she said. Thank you, said Naruto as he made his way to her. Now, how about I give you something in return for helping me? What do you have in mind? Asked Kamiura only to have Naruto her fully on the lips. Lemon has been removed. Coming down from their highs, Kamiura got dressed along with Naruto. Once dressed, she placed a hand on her stomach and smiled to Naruto who just looked on at her. I hope I'm pregnant now, she said only to have Naruto her rather passionately. I hope so too, said Naruto as they both headed into the castle once more to resume their work. Chapter 11, Enter the Pact. It had been well of a few days since Naruto had become a vampire and showed his lovers his new power. They accepted this and knew that he'd use this power to keep them safe. With Naruto's power now bolstered to new heights, they began to realize that their master and lover respectively needed blood to feed. After all, vampires feed on blood. But for Sento, she had something to tell the Black Hunter. She had been living in the castle with Naruto for quite some time now and found the sense of belonging, like she had a home here. Not only that, but she was falling helplessly in love with Naruto. She came to realize this when she began to blush whenever he spoke to her, and whenever he entered the room. But there was another matter she had to talk to him about other than her growing affections. Walking to his chambers where he was right now, she opened the doors and found Naruto there. His mouth clasped over a maid's neck as she tilted her head to the side to allow better access to the vampire necromancer. Seeing Sento there, Naruto released his grip on the maid's neck with her excusing herself and returning to her duties. Sento, what do I owe the visit? Asked Naruto sitting on his chair by the fireplace. I have something I need to speak to you about, said Sento standing beside the vampire. I see. And what is that? Asked Naruto. The West Empire, said Sento. Ah yes. They're next to be attacked. Once the East Empire falls, we're heading there, said Naruto with Sento shaking her head. There is another way. The ruler of the East Empire. She's a good friend of mine, and I wish to help you set up an alliance, said Sento. You do realize that because of the leader of the South Empire, is a necromancer. A practitioner of the dark arts. Is not a very good sight to see, said Naruto. I know that. But she is rather welcoming of people who had such things. She sees the beauty in everything, said Sento, with Naruto getting up as the doors opened to reveal Taiyo there. Taiyo walked over to her lover, who slung an arm around her waist, and drew her close to him, with Taiyo placing a hand on his chest. I see. So, should I go there, she'll be able to form an alliance with me, said Naruto, with Sento nodding. I'm sure she's willing to set up an alliance with you, said Sento. Excellent. We leave in a few hours. Prepare the horses, said Naruto, with Taiyo looking at her. Man, I'm coming with, she said. Very well, said Naruto. After a few hours they were ready to depart for the West Empire. Naruto was in charge of their territory until he got back. The whole village wished Naruto luck in his negotiations with the ruler of the West Empire. Soon they were on the road, while a few of the harbingers rode behind their master. One was Enigma, the other was Albedo. Both wanted to go along, and Naruto allowed it. They weren't even halfway when the sun began to set. Setting up camp in a wooded area, they set up their tents and started the fire. Naruto fed from Albedo, who requested that he did. With Naruto now fed with blood, they took turns in ensuring the camp was safe. Naruto chose to be on first watch. As he looked around, he soon felt a hand on his shoulder. Turning around, he found Albedo smiling to him. It's not yet time to switch. Go back to bed, whispered Naruto. I can't sleep. Not with you there in my arms, said Albedo as Naruto turned to her as she looked down. Albedo, what's wrong? Asked Naruto. It's just I am remembering what happened before you saved me. My life was a mess, being used as a cum dump. If you hadn't saved me, I'd still be in that position, said Albedo, only for Naruto to hug her. Tears streamed her cheeks as she hugged her lover back. Naruto merely smiled as he rubbed her back. He knew of how Albedo was sexually abused in that castle. How she would be defiled in every way. He knew that when he killed the ruler, he was doing her a solid. Now that she was free, she had everything she ever wanted. A few hours down the line, they were ready to head out. And it didn't take long for them to finally be in the West Empire. Stopping outside the palace, they climbed off their horses and headed inside the castle. Stopping outside the throne room, Sento looked to the companions she had. Queen Latifah is the current ruler here. She is still quite young to be a ruler, but takes her job seriously. Just please be careful when speaking to her, said Sento, with Naruto nodding to her. I'll behave, said Naruto as Sento nodded to him and pushed the doors open. Latifah sat on her throne. Her body was that of a young 12-year-old with long blonde hair, as she was flanked by 2 guards. Sento knelt to her with Naruto, Taiyo, Albedo and Enigma just standing there. Sento, it's so good to see you again, said Latifah, smiling to her friend. That it is, your majesty, said Sento. And who are your friends? Asked Latifah. Allow me to introduce to you Naruto, Taiyo, Albedo and Enigma. Naruto here is the current ruler of the South Empire, said Sento, with Latifah nodding her head. I can also sense a dark power coming from him, she said, with Naruto stepping forward. I am the last necromancer in existence, said Naruto, with Latifah nodding her head. Of course you are. I'm sure Sento here has told you that I am very welcoming of people who have strange abilities, said Latifah. She did. But that is not why I am here. Sento told me that we can come to an alliance of some kind, said Naruto, with Latifah nodding her head. Of course we can. I know of your armies and how they are destroying the East Empire. Only a matter of time before they fall, said Latifah, with Naruto folding his arms. Of course. I am not one without mercy. So how about we set up an alliance, and you won't see your land burn, said Naruto, with Latifah giggling. So you're threatening? But I do understand. In order to prevent my people and my land from being the next one to fall, I will set up an alliance with you. Let's talk about this tomorrow. Please, you're welcome to stay here in the palace, said Latifah, with them nodding their heads. Thank you very much, said Naruto as they headed out the throne room. Sooner than expected, night rolled around. Naruto was in his own room as he looked out to the world before him, his mind running over the things he needed to set the blood god free. He already had 2 of the relics needed for the ritual, but he needed 6 more. The blood god told him that in order to do the ritual, the elements had to be brought in. A pure crystal construct of each element: earth, wind, fire, water, dark, and light. The grimoire and defiler's blood in his possession would thus be used to tainted the crystals in order to anger the gods, rendering the chains binding the blood god useless, allowing the god to snap the chains and return to the world of man to exact his revenge on the ones who put him there. But his train of thought was broken when the door to his room opened with Sento standing there. "What do I owe this?" asked Naruto, looking to the peach blonde-haired woman. "I know this may be sudden," said Sento, blushing quite a bit as she walked over to Naruto. "But I have come to actually love you, I see. And may I ask, why do you love me?" asked Naruto as he looked at the woman before him. "I never saw you once harm another person. Despite your dark powers, you are calm and caring." "Naruto, I love you," said Sento, blushing even harder. "I see. Well then, I shall consummate this love with you," said Naruto, making his way to her. Lemon, pulling Sento to him, and wrapping his arms around her wonderful waist, Naruto was earned with Sento's face going slightly red from the proximity, gazing into her warm eyes, while she gazed into his dangerous, hungry, vampiric ones. They shared a tender loving. Sento's hands seemed to move on their own as she moved them and hooked herself around his neck, pulling him deeper into the Naruto's own hands moved to feel Sento's smooth and slender back. Every intricacy of her curves were felt through her clothing as they ate each other more fiercely. Sento soon began to push against Naruto, their make-out session growing more steamy as she pushed him to the bed. But Naruto made quick work of her clothes, and before Sento knew it, she was in her undergarments. Naruto was the first to fall onto the bed, Sento laying herself on top of his body. "Naruto," she purred, gazing into his eyes with intent and lust. "Sento," said Naruto as he meshed his lips with hers. Sento's body felt so hot as she made out with a man that was once her enemy. But ever since Naruto opened her eyes and showed her they were wrong, she felt a burning passion for him growing within her. And now here she was. Breaking this, Sento moved her hands to her uniform and slowly removed the top of her uniform, her skin on display for the man she was about to give her virginity to. Naruto gazed upon her skin, but he wanted more. His instincts took over, which were heightened even more by his desires. He snapped his fingers and instantly their clothes were burned off their bodies. Sento was rather surprised by it, but she still welcomed it. My, someone's frisky," she purred. Before Naruto could say anything, his lips were sealed by a. Sento knew what she wanted, and she needed it now. There was no turning back once she had done what she was about to do. She could already feel Naruto's hard member pocking her inner thigh. Breaking the once more, she licked her lips as she took hold of it. Looking into his eyes, she smiled. "This is my first time, so please be gentle," she cooed. "I promise," stated Naruto. And just as he said, Naruto placed his hands on her hips. Sento slowly began to move down. When the head on Naruto's cock touched her lower lips, she shuddered from the feeling. But she pushed past it, and began to move down more. Inch by inch, she took him into her. But she soon hit a barrier. Naruto knew from the countless women he slept with, that he had arrived at her barrier. And like all the others, he allowed them to get used to him before he moved on. Sento bit her lower lip as she braced herself for what she was about to do. Steeling herself, she pushed down, breaking through her barrier and Naruto stealing her virginity then and there. Her pained cries her silenced when Naruto ate her on the lips, drowning out her pain. The two made out for a few minutes, just until the pain subsided. And when it did, Sento broke the "I'm fine now, please move," she purred. Slowly thrusting into her, Naruto watched as Sento closed her eyes, relishing in the act they were doing. Her moans echoing through the room as she began to add her own movements into the mix. After a few minutes, Sento was properly riding Naruto, her hands on his chest, her nails digging into flesh as she soon began to scream in pleasure as she had sex with the most feared man in the empire. "Ah, yes! I love it. I love you. I love you, Naruto," she moaned as Naruto ran his hands over her body. I love you too, Sento, said Naruto as he rested his hands on her waist with her riding him harder. But the more Sento moved, the more Naruto felt his release coming up. And Sento could feel the change. Sento was all Naruto managed to say. Inside. I want it inside, cried Sento as she sped up more. Here it is, cried Naruto, thrusting up and shooting. Sento threw her head back as she cried in pleasure from feeling Naruto's come inside her, filling her womb. Lemon and, falling on top of him, Sento breathed a sigh of relief as she lay on top of her lover. Pulling the covers over them, Naruto gave Sento a who was now fast asleep. Sleep well, said Naruto as he too went to sleep. The next morning came by rather quickly as Naruto's eyes opened. Finding Sento sitting on the one seat reading a book, Naruto also spotted she was wearing a shirt and nothing else. Getting out of bed, Naruto snapped his fingers and his clothes instantly materialized on his body. Sento heard the snap and looked to find Naruto awake. Getting up, she made her way to him and gave Naruto a peck on the lips. Morning, my love, she purred. Morning, said Naruto as Sento went to the closet and grabbed some clothes. Once they were dressed, they headed to Latifah's throne room where they found her. I trust you slept well? Asked Latifa. We did. Thank you, said Naruto. Latifah merely nodded her head as she got down to business. Naruto, last necromancer in the world of magic. I, Latifa, Queen of the West Empire, will relinquish all ties with the Empire and join you in your crusade. All I ask in return is to protect my people, said Latifa. That can be arranged. Though, Your Majesty, it was never my intention to harm your people. I look forward to working with you, said Naruto, with Latifa getting up and holding out a hand. Naruto shook the hand as a wicked smile appeared on his face. May our alliance bear fruit, he cooed. Yes, was all Latifa said. Chapter 12, A Turnover. It had only been a few days since the alliance was made between Naruto's territory, the South Empire, and the West Empire ruled by Queen Latifa. Sento recently requested that she join the Harbingers. Naruto accepted, and she was given her mark much like all Harbingers. And like all Harbingers before her, she was put through the grinder. She excelled in every aspect thanks to her hunter training from her Empire days, where she served the king and queen. But Naruto felt that she should have one last test. And it was this test that we find them. Sento could be seen in a large arena, facing down raging creatures as they charged and sought to take her down. The entire population watching on, cheering for blood to be spilt. Naruto sat up in his own booth, a hand resting his head as he watched on, clearly amused by the display before him. Tayul sitting beside him on his left with Albedo on his right. She sure has come a long way, said Tayul, looking to Naruto, who only smiled. She has, said Naruto as Sento sliced the creature's head clean off, thus ending the match when the final enemy died by her hand. The crowd howled in pleasure and praise as many threw roses to her, with Naruto getting up along with Tayul and Albedo, them clapping their hands. Sento Isuzu, from this point on, you have earned your place in the Harbingers, my elite guard unit. No longer shall you bear that sword. Take this weapon from my armory. Malice, said Naruto, with two men seen carting a sword dangling from a chain that radiated with black energies. Sento gulped slightly as she looked at the weapon before her. The very weapon forged in the breath of our beloved god, the Blood God. Take this weapon as a symbol and a badge. Use it to spread the power of the Blood God and righteous judgment on the wicked, said Naruto, with Sento taking hold of the weapon. It instantly encased her body in black fire. Her body burned as she cried in pain as the weapon morphed and shifted to something more accommodating. When it was finished, Sento found a katana that had a black blade while white ribbons was seen on the hilt. I hereby honor title you, Midnight. The darkest hours will be coated with blood, said Naruto, with every single civilian raising a fist to the air and chanting away. Midnight. 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 They chanted. Sento merely slammed Malice into the ground and bowed to Naruto. I shall serve you with my life, said Sento, with Naruto nodding to her and walking off. Finally getting to the throne room of his castle, Naruto threw himself into the throne and breathed a sigh of relief and strain. What frustrates our lover? asked Albedo. It has been only a few days since the alliance with the West Empire. And yet I am nowhere closer to finding the last of the relics, said Naruto, snapping his finger, forming their planet and the moon. The blood moon approaches. That is the night the blood god is to be released. The blood moon only happens every 60 years. And the next one is scheduled to occur in 4 months, said Taiyo, with Naruto waving his hand with the magic he used for the display vanishing in a breeze, which means we're running out of time fast. And the only relic I have apart from my grimoire is the Defiler's blood, said Naruto in a slight hiss. How many are needed? Asked Albedo. 7, much like the deadly sins, said Naruto, slouching in his throne. So, the Defiler's blood is 1. The Black Grimoire is the 2nd. What are the other 5? Asked Taiyo. The skull of the deceiver, the heart of the damned, the bones of the heretic saint, the mind of wrath, the eyes of hell, said Naruto, only for Wiz to walk in. Forgive the intrudence, my lord, but 2 women have come here in search of refuge, said Wiz, with Naruto sitting up in his seat. And who are these 2? Asked Naruto. They claim to be the last of the cat demon race. One going by the name Kuroka, and the other her younger sister, Chiron, said Wiz. Very well, bring them to me, said Naruto. Shortly after Wiz left, a woman with black hair and black cat ears along with yellow slitted eyes, wearing a black kimono that was hung loosely off her amazing figure, stepped into the throne room. A younger one but with white hair, and with cat ears on her head, was seen with her. Both bowed to Naruto. Lord Hunter, we come to request refuge. I understand that you don't give that luxury to just anyone, so I offer you my body. I will let you have your way with me with a smile on my face. All I ask is that you protect my sister, said the other one. And what is your name? Asked Naruto, looking between the 2. My name is Kuroka. This is my sister Chiron, Lord Hunter, stated Kuroka. Just before Naruto was about to speak, a sudden jolt of power rippled through his body. Smiling as he licked his lips and looked at Kuroka, he leaned back. You have something on you, don't you? Said Naruto. I also bring a gift, said Kuroka, reaching into her kimono. In her hand, when she pulled her hand out from her kimono, was something that made Naruto gasp in shock. In her hand were 2 red-colored jewels. Not even ruby, these were a deeper red. They radiated with dark magic that would make anyone cringe in fear at their presence. Getting up from his throne as he looked at the items in her hand, Naruto pointed to them. Those are the eyes of hell. How did you come to possess those? Asked Naruto, dumbstruck. These have been in my family's possession for eons. I took them as insurance when a few of my people were killed. They have been sealed for quite some time, and only recently did they do this, said Kuroka. Give them to me, said Naruto, holding out a hand. Kuroka got up and walked over to Naruto. Placing the eyes of hell into his hands, she looked to find Naruto smiling. Handing the eyes to a maid, he told her to put it in the vault. Sitting back on the throne, Naruto smiled to Kuroka. You have more than proven yourself. As a reward for bringing me the eyes of hell, I offer you a place here in my castle. A room for you and your sister. A personal maid to attend your needs. And a special token of my esteem, I grant you a spot within my court, said Naruto, with Kuroka bowing to Naruto. Your generosity is thanked, said Kuroka, with Chiron bowing as well. Letting the 2 get settled in the castle, Naruto got up and made his way to the vaults. A massive door that had multiple locks, and was also protected by a recognition spell, was what blocked his advancement. Snapping his fingers, the spell on the door and the locks disengaged and the doors opened. Normally the maids could get through the spell on the door no problem, but they didn't have the ability to snap their fingers to unlock all doors. They had to individually open all locks, and there were in fact 6 of these locks. And they had to be opened within 14 seconds of each other, just the added security. Finally getting the doors opened, Naruto moved through the vault. Various weapons and armor laid on either side of him, all extremely powerful and imbued with the powers of the blood god. But right at the very end was 6 glass cases. And out of the 6, 2 were filled. Smiling as he looked at his collection, he looked up to the marble ceiling. Looks like all the pieces are coming together. said Naruto as he walked out the vault with the vault closing and locking itself. Yes, not long now. With now 3 of the items needed. Being that of the Black Grimoire, the Eyes of Hell and the Defiler's Blood. Nothing was going to stop him now. He'd get all the relics needed. All that was needed was to find where they were. Chapter 13 The Turning. The sounds of high-heeled shoes hitting tiled flooring echoed through the castle. The destination was to find the leader of the castle. A set of documents in her hand. Black hair flowed in the wind. A set of glasses sitting snug on her nose as she moved through the castle. Throwing the doors to the throne room, she spotted a maid cleaning the floors. Where is Lord Hunter? She barked to the maid. With the children, Lady Senna, said the maid, bowing to her. Thank you, said Senna as she left the throne room and to the room where the royal children resided. Once she arrived at the room, she opened the door and found Naruto in the center of the room. Sitting on a chair, a book in his hands as his children lay in the bed listening to the story, and so the young princess was finally reunited with the beast and lived happily ever after, said Naruto, closing the book and giving each of his children a on the forehead. Good night, father. They chimed. Good night, my children, said Naruto before finding Senna in the room. Following her out, Naruto and Senna walked to the throne room. Sitting on his throne with Senna standing next to him, Naruto looked to her. What have you brought me? Asked Naruto. This is a document that was sent to me by your one commander, Insanity, said Senna, handing the documents to Naruto, who began to look over them. After a few minutes, Naruto handed them back to Senna with a smile on his face. Excellent. Videl has been making good progress. The East Empire will soon be mine, said Naruto, with Senna clearing her throat. Not only that, she said, with Naruto looking to her. Oh? How? Asked Naruto. One of your spies has managed to break into the vault of the East Empire's castle before he was killed. He managed to write a letter to you. It turns out there is a relic of the witch hunts in the vault, said Senna, with Naruto's eyebrows shooting up. Which one? Asked Naruto. The message stated it was what looked like a brain, was all Senna said before Naruto smiled sinister-like. The Mind of Wrath, was all Naruto said before licking his lips. My lord? Asked Senna. Send reinforcements. The East Empire must fall now. Once the castle belongs to me, ensure the relic is secured, ordered Naruto, with Senna bowing to Naruto. It will be done, said Senna, walking off. A few minutes later, Sento was seen walking into the room. Moving to bow before her ruler, she soon heard Naruto laugh. May I inquire what is funny? Asked Sento. Just what you're doing. Only when people are around do you show respect. But when we're alone, you can be yourself, said Naruto with a smile, with Sento changing her tone. Noticing that something was wrong, she got up from her position and sat on his lap. What troubles you? She asked. We're so close. So close to achieving the one thing that was destined to happen. Freeing the Blood God. This continent was built on hypocrisy while people suffer at the hands of others. The Blood God is furious. He wants to kill his brother and take the throne. Rule over all and change this world, said Naruto, with Sento leaning her head on his shoulder. The Blood God has given you the tools to ensure your victory, said Sento, with Naruto smiling while running a hand over her back, making her moan at his touch. I have a task for you, said Naruto, becoming serious. What has my leader need me to do? Asked Sento in a serious tone as well. The Mind of Wrath has been discovered, said Naruto, with Sento raising an eyebrow. Mind of Wrath? She inquired. Ah, yes. I forget you don't know of the relics. The Mind of Wrath is one of the 7 relics that survived the witch hunts. Follow me, said Naruto, with Sento getting off his lap and following him to the vault. When they made it to the vaults, Sento walked in with Naruto as soon as the doors opened. She marveled at the countless weapons and armor that resided inside the vaults. But 6 pedestals rested at the end and only 2 of them were filled. A strange red crystal flower, while the other were 2 deep red gems that looked like eyes. These are the 2 relics that have been uncovered and are now in my possession. The Defiler's Blood and the Eyes of Hell, said Naruto, with Sento rather intrigued. May I ask why you have to gain these items? She asked. 7 items have to be recovered in order to create a new body for the Blood God to inhabit. However, I must have all 7 before the next blood moon happening in 4 months' times. That is when the restraints holding the blood god are at their weakest, and he can break through. Once he has broken through the restraints, he can enter the new body and exact his revenge on the ones that put him there. His brother included," said Naruto with Sento bowing to him. "What is your order?" she asked. "I have just told Senna to send undead reinforcements to the East Empire. According to the reports, the Mind of Wrath is there in that vault. I want you to lead the reinforcements. Secure the relic and return it here," said Naruto. "If I may be so bold, but wouldn't something like that kill me unless it has been sealed with ancient magic?" asked Sento. "That is true. However, you bear the mark of the beast. You are chosen. When you have made contact with the relic, allow the blood god to temporarily possess you. This will allow you to touch the relic," said Naruto with Sento lowering her head. "It shall be done," said Sento, leaving the vaults and doing as Naruto instructed. Looking to the 2 relics in the vault, Naruto smiled. "Let the games begin," he said before he himself walked out the vaults and locking it. Chapter 14. Slavery to Freedom. A new day broke over the land as Naruto was seen getting out of bed and stretching his tired limbs. In his bed was none other than Meteet and Enigma, both wanting to have another child with him, and Naruto was more than willing to provide assistance in the matter. Getting his clothes on and a sip of blood from one of the maids, Naruto walked out the bedroom and to the throne room. He was a king after all. He had to run the empire he had. Once he arrived, he found Taiyo there, pacing back and forth as she held a face of concern as she paced about. "Morning, my bunny," cooed Naruto, making the warrior bunny look to her lover. "A good morning to you," said Taiyo as she watched her lover sit on the throne. "So, what's the problem now?" asked Naruto, resting his head on his arm. "I have received word that some slavers are trafficking women in the outskirts of our territory. Many of the slaves seem to be that of demi-humans," said Taiyo, concerned, while Naruto understood her concern. "I see. And due to you being a demi-human yourself, you feel this is also targeting you," stated Naruto, with Taiyo nodding her head. "I do," responded Taiyo. "Very well. I will go in and free these slaves. In my territory, I do not tolerate slaves," growled Naruto, making a fist with his other hand. "Please be safe," said Taiyo, with Naruto nodding his head as he got up and headed out the castle. Walking through the town that was around his castle, Naruto was showered with greetings and cheers as he marched to the gates. Once he was out the South Empire gates, Naruto began to channel his magic to find where these slaves were. Once he had their scent, he sped to them. It wasn't that far of a sprint, as he soon came to a grinding halt and found a group of people. They were seen shouting protests as a man who looked to be a priest was at the front of the group. Shouting on the top of his lungs, "These people seek to try and humiliate the great name of us humans. They appear to be human, but they are not. They are demons in disguise. Take up a rock in the name of our righteous God and stone these heathens," called the priest as many people grabbed a stone and threw. There were only 3 slaves in the area and were the center of the attention. A rather gorgeous woman with 2 smaller children with her. Using her body to shield the incoming fire, she protected the children. Clearly not liking this, Naruto clenched his teeth as he strode right through the crowd and stood in front of the group. The crowd ceased fire and gazed at the man before them. "Hey!" shouted one. "Get out the way!" called another. "They are to be stoned for their crimes!" yelled another. "Is living such a crime?" barked Naruto, making the other one look at him. "They are demons that must be purged. They are wicked creatures," said the priest. "Really? Then why are you doing it in the territory of the Black Hunter?" asked Naruto. "That useless shit doesn't even care what we do. He only cares about sleeping with women and making them his toys," hissed the priest. "Making women his toys, you say?" asked Naruto, clearly not liking how his name was tarnished. "Yes. He is a man who cares nothing for his people," said another in the crowd. "I see. Well then, how about I tell you something? I am the Black Hunter," stated Naruto, making the priest burst into laughter. "Yeah, right. And I am the Blood God himself," cackled the man, only to choke on his laughter when he saw Naruto bring up his hand to show the mark of the beast. "You seriously are the Black Hunter?" said the man in shock. "Yes. I am. Now what was this about me treating women as toys? Me not giving a shit? Said Naruto with smiling heavily. Look! I didn't mean to say those things. I understand what I said was wrong. And I'm sorry. Said the priest along with everyone gathered now shaking in fear. You don't understand the weight of what you have done. You have tarnished my name by slandering everything I have built. So you have one of two choices. First, allow me to turn you into an undead with no form of choice whatsoever. Second, I kill you and offer your soul, my lord. Third, we fight here and now, which will have you die? Said Naruto only for the priest to back away. Why do you wish for people to suffer? He asked. I don't. But it's people like you who really get under my skin. So make your choice. Hissed Naruto as thunder clapped above him with the sky turning gray. Damn it! Said the priest charging at Naruto with a dagger. Naruto merely grabbed the blade and slammed a fist right through the man's chest. His heart in Naruto's hand on the other side. Pulling his hand out and stomping on the heart, he shook the blood off his hand. Turning to the crowd, Naruto snapped his fingers and chains binding the slaves fizzled away. Let it be known that the Black Hunter will not tolerate such behavior. In fact, I hate it. Should I find out that there have been slaves? I will personally murder each and every one next time. And don't think you can hide it from me. I have eyes and ears everywhere. Snarled Naruto with the crowd scrambling away. With them now gone, Naruto turned to the slaves still huddling in a small group. Finding the older of the three to have dirt in her hair, he could make out that she was well endowed. Her smooth skin was bruised and scarred. Her purple-pink hair was matted and frizzy. The children were in the same light. One with dog ears, the other had cat ears. Kneeling down with the clouds dispersing to reveal the sun again, he coughed into his hand, getting their attention. Are you all right? Asked Naruto. Who are you? Asked the older of the three. I am the Black Hunter. But you may refer to me as Naruto. Said Naruto sweetly. What are we supposed to do now? We have home to go to. They burned it. Said the older one. You can live with me. In my castle. I shall give you a place to sleep. Food to eat. Everything you desire. Said Naruto. So you'll be our new master. Said the older one with Naruto shaking his head. I don't like calling people slaves. Said Naruto smiling while holding out his hand. Come. I shall take you in and give you what you want. Said Naruto. Taking the offered hand, the three slaves found themselves being led to the South Empire's gates. But they weren't led to a home in the town, but the castle itself. Once the doors to the throne room opened, the three slaves found some maids working on cleaning the throne room. When they saw Naruto, they bowed to him. Welcome back, Lord Hunter. They chimed in unison. Thank you. I want you to take these three and get them cleaned up. Ensure they are taken care of. Tend to their wounds should they have any. Said Naruto with the maids bowing to him. Your word is law, my lord. Said the maids as they took the three to get cleaned up. Sitting on his throne only to have Taiyo come into the picture, Naruto smiled to her, as she did to him. I see you've taken in some of the slaves. Said Taiyo as she sat on his lap. I did. They will treat it well. Everything they need will be provided to them. Everything they wish will be granted. And how many times must I say it? I don't like the word slaves. Said Naruto as Taiyo leaned her head on his shoulder. I knew you were the ruler who was just and kind. Even though you are contracted to a dark god and the last necromancer in all existence. Said Taiyo only to shiver when Naruto ran his hand along her back. I will do everything in my power to protect my people. Said Naruto as he and Taiyo began to make out with the queen. Kushina could be seen walking along the halls of the castle. Ever since news had gotten out that the Black Hunter had been strengthening everything, along with news that Sento had sided with the necromancer, things have been getting heavy. And she didn't like it. Why did so many people have to be butchered just because they used a few dark spells here and there? Public executions were happening everywhere, and names to them had already begun. She was already being called a witch. A woman who brought destruction to their doorstep. Walking to May's quarters, she pushed the door open and found the young woman working relentlessly on something. She knew May had been sneaking out of the castle and meeting a certain someone. And she wanted to make clear on something. Ah, Your Highness, said Mei, only for Kushina to raise a hand to stop her. I know what you have been doing. You have been secretly meeting the Black Hunter, haven't you? Said Kushina, only for Mei to reach for a knife, seeing that her secret was out. Relax. I will not tell a soul. I actually wish to contact the Black Hunter myself, said Kushina, making Mei raise an eyebrow. Why? Asked Mei. I seek to join him, was Kushina's only reply. Chapter 15. First Steps of Life. Waking up to find himself once more in his room but no one with him, Naruto stretched his limbs as a maid came to the door and knocked. It's open, said Naruto as he watched the door open. A single maid stepped into the room and bowed to Naruto. Apologies if I woke you, my lord. But the people you brought in yesterday, they are rather uncomfortable, said the maid. Explain, said Naruto, getting dressed. We've given them a room that is of what you asked. Something they'll be happy in. They are grateful for it, but they fear that you'll turn on them should they do anything out of line, stated the maid, only for Naruto to chuckle. I see, stated Naruto. Bring them to the dining hall. I shall state to them what I have planned for them. As you wish, my lord, said the maid, walking off. Exiting his room, he found was about to enter his room and saw she was about knock but stopped when the door opened. Oh, good morning, she said with Naruto smiling lovingly at her. Good morning, Wiz. What can I do for you? Asked Naruto, bringing her into a hug and resting his hands on her waist, much to her pleasure. I was hoping you'd join us for breakfast, stated the general. That would be nice. But as you know, I'm already a vampire now, so food will be awful for me to eat, said Naruto with was giggling. No problem. I'll eat food, and you feed off me, suggested was before gasping in pleasure when Naruto pinched her rear cheek. I like the way you think. Come on. Breakfast awaits, said Naruto as the couple walked to the dining hall. Once they were in the dining hall, they waited for the three girls that Naruto saved yesterday. He knew it was going to take Ayami before they were back to normal, but he was going to put in the effort to help them out. Everyone in Naruto's empire knew of his main hatred: slaves. Should someone be caught with a slave or even abusing someone who was a servant, there would be hell to play with. He hated discrimination. The last person who discriminated against someone was Taiyo's first servant. He was hired to look after her, but he soon began to try and dominate Taiyo. He even began to try and force her to sleep with him, saying that all demi-humans were sluts and should do as they knew, and that is to sleep with everything that moved. He was publicly executed for his crimes of trying to harm one of his mistresses. Everyone soon began to come forward about various slavers and traffickers. All were executed for obstruction of freedom, and yet here were three people who were once slaves, until Naruto gave them a new life. But they still needed to settle in the castle. The doors to the dining hall soon opened with the three women coming in. You wanted to see us? Asked the oldest of the group. Yes, please take a seat. Breakfast will be served soon, said Naruto was smiling to them. You're too kind. But please, you shouldn't do this to us. We are slaves, said the one, only to have Naruto slam a fist on the table. You're not slaves anymore. You are your own people, hissed Naruto before calming down. Now please take a seat. Doing as instructed, the three took a seat and awaited the food they'd be eating. It didn't take long and soon the food was laid out before them. Clearing his throat, Naruto looked at the three. Please enjoy, said Naruto with the two youngsters digging in while the older one picked up food like an aristocrat. Intrigued by this, Naruto and was watched the woman eat as if she was of high blood. However, this went unnoticed as the oldest of the three looked to Naruto. I am sorry. I didn't mean to eat so much. I shall leave now, she said before wiping her mouth, and got up with the two youngsters doing the same and heading to the door. Naruto used his vampiric speed and blocked their path and merely looked at them. That wasn't it. I was merely looking at you because of how you ate. Please sit down and enjoy the food, said Naruto, returning them to their spots at the table. Watching them finish their food, Naruto had found an interest in each of them. Even though there were demi-humans in his empire, he never had an interest like this. Not only that, but two of his mistresses were demi-humans. May I inquire your names? Asked Naruto, looking to them. We never were given names, We were always called Thing or You, said the younger one. Naruto's rage soon festered after he heard that. How could they have been treated so badly? Who gave the person the right to treat someone like this? It sickened him. Wiz felt the surge of dark magic coming from Naruto, and soon held him in her embrace to calm him down. Once he was calm, she moved the hem of her top to allow Naruto to feed from her. The three were a little shocked when Naruto bit down on Wiz, but they soon came to understand that he was a vampire. Once Naruto finished feeding from Wiz, he looked to the three. Why don't I give you some names? He suggested. We'd appreciate it, said the older one. Thinking about, he came up with names for each of them. From this day forward, you shall be named, he began, starting with the two younger ones. You shall be named Tama, the one with cat ears, and Yuki, the one with dog ears. He then looked to the older one and smiled to her. And you shall be called Almia, he finished. Thank you very much for giving us new names, thanked the older one, now named Almia. But before they could continue their conversation, a maid walked into the room and moved to Naruto's side and whispered into his ear. After hearing what the maid had to say, Naruto got up. Please excuse me for a minute, there seems to be something that deserves my attention, said Naruto, leaving the dining hall. Walking to his throne room, he sat down only to find a man in some regal clothes standing before him. You shall regret making me wait, he said arrogantly. I am king here. You shall not talk to me in such an immoral manner, hissed Naruto. I don't care. I came here for my property, snarled the man. And what is that? Growled Naruto, his patience wearing thin. Those slaves. Give them to me, spat the man. My patience is fragile at the moment, boy. Choose your words carefully, growled Naruto as his magic flowed around him. You can't tell me what to do. My father is the brother to the king of the North Empire. You are nothing to me, arrogantly spat the man. Is that so? Sneered Naruto. Yes. Now give me my slaves, hissed the man, only for Naruto to snap his fingers with chains erupting around the man and holding him in place. What do you think you're doing? Do you know who I am? Oh, I know who you are. And I know what I'm doing, growled Naruto as he looked at the chained man. You were the one who had those slaves. For your crimes of doing what you did right on the outskirts of my empire, you shall be put to death at dawn. You can't. That will start a war, hissed the man. I'm already at war, so may as well use you to send the North Empire into panic, chuckled Naruto darkly as he called for some guards to take the man to the dungeons. Walking back into the dining hall, Wiz smiled to Naruto and sat on his lap as soon as he sat down. Who was it? Asked Wiz. Almia, Tama, and Yuki's master, said Naruto. Almia soon broke down in tears. I knew it. You're throwing us out. I'd never. For his crimes he will be put to death, said Naruto with the three looking at him. But he's a very powerful noble. Should you kill him, it will spark a war between this empire and the North Empire, stated Yuki. Even so, I am already at war with them, said Naruto. The execution shall happen at dawn. Almia soon felt a huge weight be lifted from her shoulders. It was like nothing she had ever felt before. As a slave, her life was forfeit. But here she mattered, including the lives of Tama and Yuki. She was truly grateful to Naruto and what he had done for them. Chapter 16, Cutting Ties. It was a chilled morning that rose upon the land. The steady bands of light slowly brought the occupants of the Black Hunter's territory out of their temporal slumber. But on one such object that rested just outside the castle, the bands of light slowly rose the curtain upon the object. A singular blade rested in the structure. A large hole big enough for a head was seen at the bottom. Many had already gathered before the castle as they waited patiently as to why their ruler had brought out this monstrous device out once more. Their questions were answered when Naruto was seen walking out the castle, his mistresses accompanying him along with the three girls Naruto took in. And a man that was secured by chains walked to the massive wooden beast with an iron blade, the guillotine patiently awaiting its newest victim. The thirst of the beast was to be sated. Getting up to the platform, the guards that were escorting the noble set him into the guillotine. On this day, this very man will be put to death for the crime of slavery and abuse, stated Naruto to the crowd. Many of them grabbed stones from the floor and began throwing them at the man. cursing him and verbally abusing him for what he had done. Raising a hand after a few minutes, Naruto stopped the crowd. It is not our place to judge him. It is our Lord and Master, the Blood God, said Naruto, with everyone clasping their hands and offering prayers to the Blood God as they knelt. Once they were done, Naruto turned to the man and gazed upon him with hate-filled eyes. Any last words? Asked Naruto. See you in hell, said the man. Like that will happen, said Naruto, releasing the blade. The blade dropped to the ground with such speed. It happened so fast. The blade was at the top, but soon the head of the noble rolled about on the floor of the platform. But before anyone could cheer at the death of another man who would treat others as objects, the skies turned black and two flaming orbs burst forth before Naruto. Everyone was instantly on their knees and offering prayers like mantras. Master, what is your desire? Asked Naruto, bowing as well. My champion, you have just delivered me such a delicious soul. You have given me so many souls of nobles before, but this one tasted so much better than the others. As a reward, I shall bestow upon you the most powerful weapon ever created by those before you. The Staff of Eternal Darkness, said the Blood God. Instantly a portal on the wooden platform opened with a black soul coming out. In its hands rested a very powerful-looking staff. Taking the weapon from the soul, Naruto watched the soul retreat into the portal before looking back to his master. 4 blades protruded out from the top, while 2 blades were seen coming out from the sides which pointed down. A purple-colored gem rested at the top, while the bottom had a glass tube with purple lightning flowing through it. Aenirkan, Lord Staff of Light. Just tweak to how it looks here. Reaching a hand out, Naruto found the weapon to amplify his powers to amazing heights. Looking to the one whom he served, Naruto placed the staff next to him as he bowed once more. Thank you, my lord, said Naruto. This very weapon was forged in the deepest pits of the abyss. Together with the souls of those sacrificed during the witch hunts, the weapon has become extremely deadly in more ways than one. A weapon I would only bestow to those who have earned my blessing. And you have earned it more than my previous champions. This weapon also holds a powerful transformation. You will be able to turn yourself into a towering being who has dominion over death. The Nightbringer, stated the deity, with Naruto lowering his head. I shall use this glorious weapon to spread your name to the corners of the world and etch your name into the heavens, so all shall bear witness to your magnificence, said Naruto. Know that I will be watching you no matter what happens. I shall be watching with great interest, said the Blood God before vanishing and everything returning to what it was. Looking to everyone, Naruto tightened his grip on the Staff of Eternal Darkness. The purple gem at the top where the prongs were glowed more brightly. The time is upon us. We shall gain the relics of the witch hunts. We shall gain them no matter what. We shall stand against this nightmare. We will unite. I shall set our beloved and malevolent master free, and he shall grant us our reward. The days of watching people die for just living are over. The eternal night is upon us, called Naruto, with everyone raising their fists to the air. Long live the Blood God, our Lord and Master. The crowd cheered, nodding his head and reaching down to grab the severed head of the one killed by the guillotine. I shall go and leave this at the North Empire's king's doorstep. This will send them a message, showing that we are not to be taken lightly. Good luck, husband, said Taiyo, bowing her head with the others doing the same. Albedo and Taiyo shall be in charge in my absence, said Naruto, slamming the staff on the ground with shadows swallowing up and disappearing as if he wasn't there. Naruto reappeared outside the walls of the Northern Empire. Using his magic, he turned himself into a regular peasant. Overing the head with a cloth that soon became soaked in blood, he acted as if he was running in fear. The guard stopped him and asked what he was doing. Please, you have to take me to the king, begged Naruto. It's the king's brother. Taking him to the palace, Naruto smiled in subtlety at how naive these people were. But he knew massacring them would incur the wrath of his master. The Blood God gave him specific instructions to leave the North Empire alone for now. On the day of the blood moon would be the time Naruto could act and attack the North Empire. Walking into the throne room of the palace, Naruto knelt to the king and queen. But he soon felt something regarding the queen. This feeling he felt when the people pledged allegiance to the Blood God. Smiling under his hood, he began plotting another plan. The queen had been tainted. Excellent. What is it? Barked Minato. My lord. I bring grave news. Your brother has been killed. A person calling himself the Black Hunter did it. He gave me this head and told me to deliver it to you. He said that your time will come soon, said Naruto, holding out the head of the man. Minato instantly lost his cool and shot up from his throne. Send as many troops to the South Empire. Kill the Black Hunter. No matter how many times it takes to break open the doors, destroy them all. Ordered Minato, with the guards in the room leaving to mobilize the forces. Looking down to the man before him, Minato sat back down. Thank you for bringing this knowledge to me. And the head of my brother. Head down to the tavern for food and rest, said Minato, with Naruto lowering his head. Thank you, lord, said Naruto, getting up and leaving. Something to drink would be nice right now. He had only been in the North Empire twice in his life. This makes it the third time. The first one was to retrieve the documents Senna had managed to copy on enemy movements. The second was for more unmentioned methods. Mainly spending time with Kamiura, who was under the disguise as a prostitute working in the local brothel, which led to a very heated sex marathon with Kamiura and the other hookers. But here he was again, under another disguise, to deliver his warning to the king of the North Empire. Finally making it to a tavern, Naruto found it to be already noon. Getting inside and getting a drink, Naruto looked about to the various people there was, but one such woman caught his eye. Her long flowing scarlet red hair and piercing green eyes. She was sitting further down from the counter he was at. A plate of food before her, as she looked down. But before he could do anything, the blood god spoke into his mind. Before you do anything, tell me, what do you sense from her? Stated the god. I sense something dark within her, stated Naruto, feeling the similar feeling from the queen. Very good. Her name is Rebecca Scarlet. She has been secretly worshipping me. She, along with your childhood friend and the Queen of the North Empire. Rebecca here has been asking me for assistance in helping to raise her brothers and sisters. I shall give you this command. Take her to your territory. Give her what she craves. Ensure she has a new life. One that doesn't involve back-breaking labor. Approach her and tell her these words. When dawn alights, the souls of the damned shall stir. Instructed the blood god. It shall be done, said Naruto, getting up. Walking over to the woman, Naruto tapped her shoulder. Leaning close to her ear, Naruto whispered, when dawn alights, the souls of the damned shall stir. He whispered, making Rebecca's eyes widen. How do you know the words my master said to me? Whispered back Rebecca. I am the Black Hunter. And I have been told by my master to take you to my territory and give you a new life. Along with your siblings, replied Naruto. I don't believe you, hissed Rebecca, subtly showing her his left hand. Naruto flashed her his mark. Her eyes widened in disbelief at what she just saw. You're the champion of the blood god, stated the woman, with Naruto nodding his head. I am, stated Naruto. Do you wish for a new life? Along with your siblings? Rebecca merely nodded her head fast. She couldn't believe what was happening. Her prayers had been answered. She previously prayed to the god of life, but he didn't bother responding. Only recently did she turn her gaze upon the blood god. And not even a month of listening to him say to her that someone will take her away, here was the man he told her about. This was absolutely incredible. Please, take myself and my siblings away from this nightmare. Please give us a new way of living. I will give you everything you want. My soul, my heart, even my body, begged Rebecca. Then let us adjourn to your home. Once you have your siblings, I will teleport you to my castle, said Naruto, with Rebecca nodding her head and getting up to leave after paying for her meal. Thanks for watching this video. You really enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow Black Spirit 101 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.